work that they cannot read and comprehend. And it's good for life, too.
Thank you.
Hi, good morning. My name is Sheila Long, and I am a current resource teacher here at School 43. And hopefully next year I'll be sitting here as a retired teacher. But I've decided I wanted to tutor this year because the children lost a lot from being out of school last year, and I've noticed it. And so I want to do what I can do to help them.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jackie Sababu, and I'm a retired educator from IPS who doesn't know what it really means to be retired. So, I'm just here to help students. I love working with kids.
Thank you. Everyone did not come up. Augusta, will you come up and introduce yourself? We're happy to have such a distinguished guest here with us. I'm holding the mic because everybody in here could present the whole day.
Good morning. I'm Augusta Mann, and I'm just visiting here.
And it's so good to have you've impacted many children in the city. Will you please give her a hand? Because we appreciate you coming here. Okay, Suzanne and Lorenzo, come up and introduce yourselves. Gary Holland, and James is already here. Who are you, and why did you become part of this program?
Good morning, everyone. Nice to see everyone on this nice 9/11 day. My name is James White. I work for J. Scott Learning and Development, and I am their accountant. So I am the guy that's going to be paying you guys. So when I get up to talk here in a few minutes, I will show you and tell you what you and I will do together to make sure that you get paid on time and what you're going to be paid. And a real quick interrupt. I am a veteran, so 9/11, I'm driving veterans around in the Riverside Parade here in about an hour, so I'm not going to be here during the entire duration of the training, but I'll make sure that you have my phone number and I have your email address, so I will be sending you an email to tell you what we need to do to get you paid.
He's going to present in a few minutes. Any more veterans in the house? If you are a veteran, please stand. We want to honor you today. Thank you. Thank you for your service and all that you have done to keep America alive for all of us, not just some, but all, to have the vote. Okay, I'm not going to go there.
I don't think I really need that mic. Can y'all hear me back there?
You need to be.
They told me that.
You need to be near me so they can pick up your voice.
So I have to have the mic. Good morning. I am Mrs. Crowley. I typically don't use a microphone, but I have to. I understand now, so I'll do it. I've done lots of things. The last thing I did was retire from IPS in 2014. I was a social studies teacher. I worked in alternative ed the last 12 years of IPS. And so I landed in teaching. The man upstairs did that because I promised that wasn't my goal. But this is where I landed. And he gave me what I needed to help other people. And that's turned out it was students. And so this is kind of culminating for me because I get to do what my mission is in various ways. And so now, Lorenzo and I have this tutoring company, and so we are still, even though we're retired educators, among other things, our fingerprints are still on these kids. And so for me, it's like a never-ending thing, but I own it and I welcome it. And so with that, I'm going to get out of the way, and then Lorenzo can introduce himself. So good morning to everybody.
You see, I let her hold the mic. She's the boss.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I am Lorenzo Crowley, and I am sometimes the project director when they're not running the show and she's not, and everybody else is not being the boss. First of all, let me apologize this morning because, I know when educators get together, we expect long donuts, but because of the COVID thing, we decided to try to keep something so that everybody would be getting it without, reaching over and touching something and all that. So I want to say that first. I'm a previous educator, behavior specialist, have had multiple businesses. Suzanne and I had these, back when the days were tutoring back in 2011, in terms of the tutoring services that were provided at that time. So we've been around doing this before. It's a blessing to be able to do it again, especially now given the backwardness in terms of what's been happening with our students and our babies. And I won't try to go into all the other things that we've been blessed over the years to have been involved in. But my real thought this morning is to say I am thankful that you all are here. And I am looking forward to you all helping us make this work and support the effort. And I know we will, because having just passed around the room and looked in your faces, I can see that you all are going to be with us, team members, and part of the family. Thank you very much this morning.
Thank you. Give him a big hand, a big, big, big hand, because he's going to pass them out, but he's going to sign the checks, okay? I am Dr. Gwen Kelly, and I've been on a path of education for 35 years with the IPS district, 29 as a classroom teacher, and 6 downtown as administrative, in an administrative position with curriculum, in the curriculum division. And when I retired, I went to Anderson University to teach foundations in education. And then I went back to school to get a doctorate. But it was a slow process because I was working on many things, including the historic journey, including curriculum for CLD for grades 4 through 6, the program that they have. They've revamped the program, but Dr. James Cornett and I did the initial curriculum for the 4 through 6 program. And then after I finished my doctorate, I went to IU Bloomington as a research associate. And down there, I visited school districts across the state, over 45 districts that were out of compliance for special education. And I saw our babies being suspended at high rates in special education. And the state monitors that, but they don't monitor what's going on in general ed. It's posted, but nobody is really saying you must do something about it. So with the suspensions and expulsions, our children are not learning. How can you learn if you're out of school? And the ones who are in school, if we're not touching their spirits, as Augusta has taught us through the years, it's like they're not there either, So we have an opportunity to really reach the children and to let them see their own true identity, and to see some work that will make them proud of who they are. So that's my story and my journey. And you're going to hear more from Marcus Klein. Please give him a hand even before you meet him. Give him a bigger hand. He's due, okay? If we brought him down from Chicago, he's got something going on, okay? He's a hard man to track down, but he's here, and I am very, very happy. He's got a 4-year-old son. That boy looks just like you. He didn't hear me. We've been seeing him on Zoom. All right, so the second thing on our program is Brother James. And there's going to be a little break in between. I've got another sheet to pass out to you, and I'm going to circulate through. Well, you probably need to listen to James, and I'll do it all at the same time while we're waiting to switch over.
Hello again. I think that's the fourth time that I've said hello and good morning to you, but that's okay. Probably the most important thing on that slide up there is my phone number. As I indicated to you, I am the accountant for J. Scott Learning and Development, and my job is to make sure that you get paid. So what I'm going to talk about is how we do that. What I'm going to talk about today is how we together make sure that you get paid when you're supposed to get paid and the amount of money that you're supposed to get paid. So we're going to be using a Paychex check system. That is an automated system that is run between the banks and the Internal Revenue Service, so they're all connected together. And we're also going to be using a time and attendance system that you will have on your phone that you will be able to click the time that you get into your school, either 42 or 43, and tell us what time you're there. You clock in, you clock out. I will be the person that will be making sure that everything is done from a technology perspective. So if I notice that you clock in and you don't clock out, I'll clock out for you. It's not like the Roach Motel. You clock in and you don't clock out. But what I will also do is make sure that all of your hours are also correct. So your resources are going to be me. They're going to be the Crowleys who own the company. And they're also going to be Paychex and Flex Time. And I will show you how to do that. So the project duration is approximately 26 weeks. We start approximately the 27th of 21, I believe, and it's going to go through May of 2022. The schools participating, you're either going to be at 42 or 43, and we're going to be either a combination of tutors, teachers, mentors. That's important because that determines your pay cycle, and how many hours that you work per week. And the partnering organizations are the NAACP and, of course, J. Scott Learning and Development. So what we're going to be doing is, I don't think that I'm going to go through all of this unless you want me to. There's going to be a new hire package that is going to be sent to you. If you want, I can pull up an example of that package. The new hire package has what's called a welcome package that has your name, your address, phone number, all of the things that you fill out when you're getting ready to start an employment. A W-4, that's for tax purposes, and this is an employment eligibility verification. All that is an I-9. And I'm sure that if you've been in the school system for a while or any job, you've most likely filled out an I-9 before. And then most everyone, I believe, I hope, you're going to request automatic deposit. That means that you get paid on the day that your hours are submitted. Wouldn't that be better than getting a check mailed and then going all around Atlanta, back to Indianapolis? And the Paychex time and attendance, I'm going to send you an email. That email will be the link that you will use to click on it. That means your information will go directly into Paychex. I don't need to see it. I'm not going to tell you how old I am, unless you want to know that. I'm real old. So that means you don't have to tell me how old you are. It goes directly to Paychex. And we will also be managing your time. You will be entering your time directly. I will be checking your time, and Mr. Lorenzo Crowley over here, the owner of the company, will be approving all times and checks. These are the resources. Again, you have several resources here. I'm going to be your main resource. Once you get everything set up, we probably don't need to address anything unless you're sick, you're off work, you're going to be working more hours, something of that nature. Then we'll probably discuss. And again, I'll give you access to the Paychex helpline. You may say, hey, I don't want to talk to James today. That's okay. You can call Paychex directly. And we can talk about the approval process again, which is just me and Lorenzo. Do I need to go over the new hire packet form? Nah, you guys have seen it. It's pretty straightforward. I'm going to send you a link, and if you have any questions, you can call me. Again, I'm a veteran, and I'm going to be driving in the Riverside Parade today, and I'm driving the leadership staff of Post 249, which is directly south down on Martin Luther King. So I won't be here for the duration. I'll catch part of Marcus's stuff, but I've seen him a lot before, and I know what he can do. So if you want to talk to me more, you can come over to Riverside Park or just give me a call. I'm very friendly. Any questions?
I guess the paycheck helpline, that number will be in the information that you give us?
Yes,
Okay.
when I send you the email. So that's a good question. We're starting early. You're going to get this email from me probably sometime this weekend or Monday or Tuesday. We have 2 weeks to get that done. And if you have any questions at all, I'll be more than willing to assist you. Any other questions? Going once, going twice. Ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful Marcus Klein.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It is great to be before educators who communicate to our children, who give the energy necessary to stand them up. My name is Gary Holland. I am the publisher of The Historic Journey, which you will get. The Historic Journey is a multidisciplinary curriculum that looks at culture, the mathematics, the science, the social skills that we as a people created. Our children need to understand that, and that's why we were able to put this curriculum together. It took 22 educators to put this together. We understood that when a child has knowledge of self, the child can manage their behavior because they know who they are and where they are going. They are able to navigate life. When I was able to meet Kaba Kamene of Hidden Colors, he informed me that once he put the curriculum together from the beginning, which you will see, starts with who we are as a people. It was a fourth grader, when we introduced this curriculum, said to us, because we started with the transatlantic enslavement trade, the fourth grader said, who were we before we came to America? And that's where we began this. And this is what we told in our grant, the Department of Education. We wanted to do something different with our children. We wanted to culturally engage them. We wanted them to see who they are in mathematics and science and the social skills. And that's why we think we are going to assist and help our children with this learning program. When they begin to see themselves in the curriculum. I met Marcus Klein 9 years ago. Kaba Kamene said to me, I know a school in Chicago that will put this curriculum into the manifestation of children understanding themselves. So when I met Marcus, he looked at this curriculum and he said, I'm going to read this overnight and I'm going to implement this. This was 9 years ago. So I said, okay, you gonna do that? Okay. So he did. And we began to go up to Chicago to document, to see how he was able to engage children with culture. And I was amazed because Marcus has a school. I got to read a little bit about Marcus and his school. I was amazed because the children were able to communicate and learn things that I was not aware of. When I say that, I mean, when you have a kindergarten and first grader who is learning SAT words, 5th and 6th grade SAT words, words I did not know, you will see that. We're going to show a video of how the curriculum is, how he implements the curriculum. But let me give you just some information about Marcus. The Freedom Home Academy was started in 2007 with an aggressive, action-oriented educational program focus. The institution is a homeschool that is African-centered in culture with a specific emphasis in higher level education and tutoring for kindergartners through high school age students. The student body is comprised of over 75 youth with a staff of 10 that achieve amazing academic results, such as 3- and 4-year-old children speaking 2 foreign languages and reading 2 grade levels higher. In addition, Marcus has established 2 preschools, the School of Literacy 1 and 2 for children ages 2, 3, and 4. The curriculum at Freedom Home Academy is focused in the following areas: advanced math, science, reading, and African history. The goal for the students educated under his watch is the creation of new African individuals prepared for a highly competitive world and instilled with confidence and self-determination. Marcus tours regularly to share his research and thinking, while he and his team continuously build upon opportunities to expand the school program and develop the Freedom Home Academy in various cities and countries. Marcus started Freedom Home Academy with his wife. Let me see, I'm not good at reading these cell phones here, excuse me. He created the Frontline magazine in 1994 as a way to empower and inform the people of sabotage and a plot to erase the critical thinking abilities of black people across the country. Marcus and his late wife co-founded Freedom Home Academy in 2007. You know, one thing about, there is a gentleman, his name is Count Boney. Count Boney traveled with Napoleon to Egypt. And no, that was Alexander. There was Alexander. Count Boney traveled to Egypt. He was a good friend of Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin. And when he came back, he told Thomas Jefferson, "You are enslaving people who created mathematics and sciences." Okay? He told them that these people have mastered these areas and you're enslaving them. So whenever you hear the word Afrocentric or anything African-centered, it only means mastery. That's what it means. That we have mastered this, but we have forgotten that. So that's what this program is about, and I want to share with you, Marcus, looking at how to help children not go to prison by learning and reading. And then after this video, you will hear Marcus Klein. Thank you.
James go.
Huh?
James left.
I'm here to rescue you.
Thank you.
In
Can't
time of
see
need.
anything.
Okay. Oh, you can hear me over there? Okay, so this morning we started off with, these are 5th and 6th grade vocabulary words. So what we did, we have our pre-K, 1st and 2nd graders using SAT words, right? So what we do is we choose a block of SAT words. I give them historic journey vocabulary words, infusing those. So we'll do 15 SAT words, and then we'll do 5 historic journey words that come from the boards that you saw the children read. And we give them a vocabulary awareness sheet. And that vocabulary awareness sheet gives the definition, the actual word, and then they have to have a speed drill too. They have to be able to recite all 20 words every week, but they have to recite them under a certain time. We use the computer screen to show the children the actual word and the phrases. I read them first. Adroit. Adulation. Adulterate. Adversary. Adverse. Adversity. Advocate. Aesthetic. Boom. So when you saw the children reading one at a time.
Accurate. Adamant.
Good.
Adapt. Addiction. Adhere. Adjacent. Admonish. Adroit. Adulation. Adulterate. Adversary. Adverse. Acquittal. His acquittal by the jury surprised those who had thought him guilty.
Boom. Next.
The candidate attacked his opponent with great acrimony.
Boom. Next. SAT words are more effective for me to teach as opposed to, cat, sat, dog, and the regular sight words. Initially, we go over the phonetic breakdown of each word. These words have been going over 3 times a day for the week, Monday through Thursday. We're very heavy on phonics, very heavy on phonics. So we do breakdowns of words all day in each one of our classes.
Smith, sound,
Try again, what's that word?
Smith, stain.
Okay, let's take a look. We're gonna help her out, right? Age and sister. S-M-I-T, H is what?
Smith,
Smith. S-O.
so,
N-I is what? Me.
and
Good. So,
Smith, so, me, and Smith, so, me, and Smith, so, me, and Smith, so, me, and
good. What's the word?
Smith, so, me, and
So the word has to be what?
Smith, so, me, and
Smithsonian. Good. Smithsonian. Okay, I know. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm gonna steal your thunder. Every Friday, the historic journey text, we have them. We've been reading Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right? So Friday they have an oral text. So with me and my book, they read orally, and every word that they miss, we have to write down. Every word that they stumble on, we have to write down. We're checking for, again, how fast that they're reading, how accurate are the words, are they able to recognize the words and sound. And then we go to structural, paraphrasing, are they reading smoothly, consistently using meaningful phrases, and appropriate pausing, of course, commas, semicolons, are they pausing, adjust pitch and volume to the circumstance. Now, we're going to use inflection. We're going to use inflection on this sentence. Remember? Go ahead.
However, his son Keontae became the next pharaoh and finished with his father's son.
Friday is the actual spelling test. Ready to roll?
Yes!
Number 2 is acquittal. acquittal. Number 3, acrimony. Number 5, adamant. Adamant. Number 5 is adamant. Admonish. Number 11, adroit. Adroit. So at this level, our first and second graders, they can do more than just spell the word and recognize the word. They also know the definitions. So we give them a definition practice sheet, which will be on the back of the actual vocabulary practice sheet. It'll be on the back, and they have to fill in the appropriate word as it matches the sentence or definition. Any trade, profession, or occupation. Any trade, profession, or occupation. When we're teaching about anatomy, we're learning about the head, of course, which is the brain. First is the what? Brain. Okay, next.
The brain is the part of the central nervous system and controls many body functions.
So the brain is comprised of 3 major parts. What are they? 3 major parts are what? Good. Forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. Now, what is this word? Good. Where is it located?
In the middle part of the forebrain, and it contains thalamus, hypothalamus, hypothalamus, and subthalamus.
Good job. Good. This is your what?
Pineal gland.
What does it do?
Synthesizes melatonin.
And what else? Good. We're also learning about the midsection, you know, arm, chest, that you just saw, and legs. You ready? You can do it from there. You ready? Hold on. We're going to go out of order. See if you really know. What is this bone right here? Sternum. Good. What about this bone? Femur. Good. What about this one? Good. What about this bone here? Good. And what about this bone? Good. 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 Here's a hard one. Good. Okay, here's a hard one. What about the bone on the outside of my eye? Steve, good. What about this bone here? Right above my cheek. Zygomatic, and what rounds the cheek off? Zygomatic arch bone. What's the smallest bone in the face? Lacrimal bone. Smallest bone in the body is the what? Stirrup. Good, good. And where is your stirrup located? Inner ear. Good job. Who knows their quadriceps? Huh? Huh? Good job. Those are your 4 quads. Good. What about, give me another muscle. What about the butt muscle? Good. What about this muscle right here? Its shoot is large on me. Bicep. Good. And what about this? What about these right here? Good. What about these? My 6-pack. What is it called? Huh? Pectoralis major. Good, good, good. Huh? You could have an 8. You're correct. Good. Now, what about this muscle on my arm right here? This fat one? Why they call it the bronchioradialis muscle? It sits on the radius bone. Good job. Okay, what about this muscle here? Deltoid. Good. Okay, what muscle allows me to turn my neck and my, listen, and my chest to move? Colonel, Cledio, Master. Good. And so as I'm teaching the anatomy portion from an actual skeleton in the classroom that you saw, when we administer this particular lesson, they already have an idea on the different parts and structures of the body. And the iPad, or the actual Grand Lodge, was formed in the shape of the human body. This part of the covered temple is actually, the head. And the peristyle port is the midsection, and so on. So when we administer this, the children like it because they already have, I would say, an advanced knowledge of anatomy. Once the children, they've been through 4 or 5 weeks of my anatomy class that you just saw. They have an advanced knowledge of it. So this was excellent. And actually, these 2 sheets here, this is the second one. It's a part 1 and 2. That was actually answer key. But this is the actual worksheet that we give them on the first day. But we can't give them this on the first day unless they already have a knowledge of, or even a brief knowledge of the human body. And again, that's activity worksheet 3, part 2. In the historic journey, we talked about specifically out of part 4, section 1, the ancient Americans from the Bering Strait and the Pacific Ocean. We've always placed emphasis on global connection. African history isn't history of Africa. African history is world history. So when we learn about us, we learn about our people, we have to learn about how we fit in globally. So Asia, when we learn the continent of Asia, we learned about the pyramids off the coast of Japan that were recently found. So I showed the students the significance in that. How those pyramids in China and in Japan look just like the pyramids in Egypt, the pyramids in Nubia, and even the pyramids in Mexico. So that connection is made daily. It has to be. What about Russia? Moscow, good. Mongolia, good. What about China? North Korea, South Korea, Japan, good. What about Malaysia? Kuala Lumpur, Indonesia, Jakarta, good. India, New Delhi, Turkey, Ankara. What about Israel? Jerusalem. 30 seconds on Europe. You ready? What about Portugal? Spain? Ireland? What about Northern Ireland? Belfast. United Kingdom? Scotland? Good. What about Wales? Iceland? Spain? Italy? France? Norway? Sweden? Finland? The Ukraine? Kiev. What about Greece? Good. What's the capital of Brazil? Good. What about Argentina? Chile? Peru? Good. What about Ecuador? You said Quito. Oh, Quito. Colombia? Good. Venezuela? Guyana? Suriname? French Guyana? Good. What about Paraguay? Uruguay? What about Bolivia? Because it sounds like okay, so La Paz, good. To Africa, Suriname, flight from America. I got on the plane and what did I see? Brown brothers that look like me. Okay, look, you gotta cut it. We can't do the whole song because why? We press for time. You know some of these? You sure? What about South Africa? Lesotho, Swaziland, Botswana, Namibia, and Hawk. Teaching knowledge of self is the actual key. It's the cornerstone of our institution. Now, do we teach, 30 different subjects? Yes. But the question is always, well, how do you teach African history when you have to teach for a test? You have to teach for the IELTS. You have to teach for Stanford or whatever test that they take, right? You first have to teach who they are. And you can teach who they are, their historical relevance, and you can inject that into every class. We're able to use the story journey from 9 o'clock in the morning to 1 o'clock, because we can take language arts. It's language arts. We can take geography, which is geography portion. We can take fluency in reading, also from the boards, and even math. First and second graders who are at a reading level of 4th and 5th grade early. So if they determine the number of beds based on the number of beds that they're going to create in the prison based on the reading levels of 3rd and 4th graders, if you're teaching the child early how to read, coupled with the fact that you're teaching him him or her, who they are culturally, that would diminish the amount of non-readers exponentially. So now if these children can read, right, and they know who they are, would that stop them from going to prison? Absolutely not, because we know, we get locked up for any reason. But would that lessen their chances of being locked up by the state? Absolutely. So we need to teach children reading early.
Okay, everyone knows who I am. Can you hear me? Do I need the mic?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Say I'm loud, so. Where's the handheld at?
There it is, right there.
Oh, okay. Great. First of all, I'd like to thank
My job is to make college easier because students have a lot on hand. Sorry, Coach. Please, like Harper, an econ major who piles on the pressure.
All right. Do me a favor. Where's
James.
Yo, James?
Gone.
He gone? Okay. Yeah, where you at? Oh, yeah, real quick. What was the toggle? Alt tab, yeah. I want to see that. Yeah. Just wanted to hit play. Yeah. I want to hit play right here. Yeah, boy. His, yeah, we still should be. I didn't come out of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we can play it now. Can we play it? Yeah.
Make sure it's plugged in. Make sure it's plugged in tight.
Oh, but real quick, before we take a break, real quick. Yeah. Pause it real fast. Pause it real quick. Yes, ma'am. I wanted to show that video that you just saw, that was 2014. That was almost 8 years ago. What I wanted to show real quick was like 30 seconds. What we're doing now is we've advanced the program exponentially since then, right? So to the point where I wanted to have another son. So I had a 4-year-old. I have a 4-year-old right now.
His name is Oba, right? So we go through the entire program every day. So what you saw in the video was an expansion of 7 hours a day. School starts at 8, then we were done at 6. So we've sized it down. So now I can do it at home, and we sell the curriculum to parents. They can do it at home in 4 hours, what was taking us 7. So I'm giving my son just a part of it in this video. At that time, he was 3. So now, this was last year. So now he's reading on the 3rd grade level. So how can we assess that? You know, we have a whole rubric where we can assess reading levels on the spot. You could play it real quick. It'll be quick, then you could break.
Quantum theory and fields that waves and particles possess a dual nature with one aspect of the vacillating and some is situations and the other be the same become over his own. Obtuse and to other situating
That was it.
You tell your baby you got to stand and wait and watching him work. Let's
Yeah, his
take
mother,
our break.
his mother doesn't like that as much, but nonetheless. We could take a break, and then we'll come back, and then we'll get right to the curriculum.
Okay, great. I know I skipped over the gracious process of thanking J. Scott Learning for bringing me in. Thank you, Indianapolis, as well as Robert Gary. He's always a gracious host, bringing me in. Been here quite a few times. So, just for the record, my name is Marcus Klein. I'm the co-founder of Freedom Home Academy. We have 4 schools in Chicago. We're developing a school in Dodoma, Tanzania now, as well as outside of Accra. So those should be done. Next time I see you, hopefully next year, we'll have 2 international schools. That was always the goal of myself and my late wife. My wife passed away in 2014, left me with a blueprint for school development, as well as a beautiful son. We started the school because of him in our basement in 2007. He's now 3rd year at Howard University, pre-med. Got in at 15. He got in at 15. He's 18 now. We just dropped him off, 3rd year. He's doing residencies at Georgetown University while he's at Howard. So the reason why I bring that up is, of course, not to be braggadocious at all, even though, you know, some would say I'm not as humble as I should be, but I'm not bragging. We just have to sometimes overcompensate because African-centered curriculums and African-centered schools gets a bad name worldwide. For a lot of reasons I won't get into, but we don't fit that mold. We overcompensate in a lot of areas. So we add pre-med to our curriculum for 1st graders. We add pre-med to our curriculum for our high school students. So we started the high school in 2017. My son was graduating 8th grade. We driving around different schools in Chicago. We driving back, and he asked me, he said, Abu, why don't you build your own school so I don't have to go anywhere? It's a good idea, so let's do that. 2017, we started Nkrumah International Academy. We started with 2 high school students. That was in 2017. Both of those high school students at that time graduated. One has graduated from Spelman. Now she's working on her master's degree at University of Chicago. College isn't the answer for all of our students, so we have to have a 3-pronged method. First prong being, of course, universities, whether it be on the Division 1 tier or no. The second tier should be entrepreneurism, teaching children how to build their own business, to be independent. Third tier is trade school. So we added some trades 2 summers ago. So some of our students who aren't on the track for Division 1 and Division 2 universities, they definitely can either go into carpentry, electrician, plumbing. Now we're doing barber too. So we've implemented a business law class for our 3rd graders. So when we talk about overcompensation, we have to do that. Some say I have a chip on my shoulder. You know, I'm from Detroit, so I always have an attitude like, is everybody against me? And the reason why I have the attitude, again, because African-centered education has been given a bad rap the last 7, 8 years. I was talking to a sister just now, I talked about Hakeem Madhubuti School, New Concepts, or Betty Shabazz. Those schools in the 80s influenced my wife and I, who I should say, she was the impetus of me starting the school. And I always say, if you want to develop an idea, put it in the mind of a black woman. So she guided me. I said in 2006, my son was 3, teaching was not going to be for me. My background was in business. I came out of Rutgers University in '92, went to a HBCU in '87, got kicked out, while I'm going to New Jersey. But nonetheless, when I lost her in 14, you know, the direction was murky, so was the waters, but I don't know how I pulled through, you know what I'm saying, but 2015 was a very tumultuous year, not just for me, but also for the school. But I surrounded myself with brothers and sisters who actually had a genuine love for our children. Once we have that, the pieces will, you know, come into place, but the love and the discipline is the counterbalance. We have to have the discipline in cooperation with the love and desire, not just for our children to be average, because I'm getting a lot of that too. You know, about Marcus, you know, the children are 4 and 5. Why do they have to go to school all day? That type of thing. That type of thinking diminishes the dreams of our children. It shoots them down. So when the child hears that from his parents, he feels, oh, okay, I don't have to do as hard. I don't have to work as hard, right? So Sister also mentioned that it must start at home. It has to start at home. I'm only a part-timer. The parents are the first teachers. Mama is the first teacher. I just aid and assist. So I just wanted to you know, just paint like a broader brush over what you just saw. That was 2014. We've leaps and bounds. Dr. Mann in front of me, she gave me a lot of encouragement and a lot of ideas when I met her in 2000, maybe 17, I don't know. Yep, but those boards I'm going to show you, this was her idea. One thing I think I do well, I don't do a lot of things well, but one thing I can do well is execute and implement. So if I see something, oh, going back real quick, the difference between an active reader and a passive reader. A passive reader reads and studies for information on a day-to-day, right? Active readers read to execute and implement what they've read, right? So my transformation from a passive reader to an active reader was execution and development. Everything I read now, I read from the perspective of implementing into the school. I want to see students do what I'm doing, right? So every class, every curriculum, if it's not a healthy injection of how to build curriculum, this is the key. The reason it's the key is if we have all the information and we can't articulate it to children, why do you have it? If it's 30 books in your home and your child doesn't know any of them, why are they there? Our job on the planet is to teach, period. Make the planet better than it was before we got here. And the only way to do that is through our seeds, right? So execution, implementation. So now I was given the task of aiding J. Scott Learning in developing their curriculum, right? And I know we got some serious, and they always say, and it's not to be contrite, but every organization is built by sisters, ran by sisters. So when they come into the school and they see men up front, it's about 10 of us up front, all they gotta do is look around. It's sisters running it, just like this one. Dr. Kelly, sister right here, she mean business. Sister Crowley, on the phone with them, doing Zoom calls, got me right. Because I'm a little nonchalant, you know, okay, I get it done, I put things off. They wouldn't allow me to do that, and I appreciate it because they were sincere, and they are sincere about teaching our children for the next level. And I realized that being on the phone. I talk to a lot of people. A lot of people want the curriculum. Yeah, you want to do this, we want to do this, we want to do this. They're not as serious. But talking to them, as well as Brother James and, of course, Gary, I know what I knew then, they were serious. So what I want to do is I want to go through each section for the instructors as well as the tutors. Oh, and by the way, they told me to inject this as well. The historic journey will be given out at the end, right? Yep. The historical journey will be given out at the end of today's conference, right? So we want to go step by step. I think first, if you open up the binder, it's very well put together too, by the way. Open up the binder, we're going to start with grades 1 through 3. That's our primary group. What I want to do as well as we go through, I want to show you ways and means by which I implement. Okay? My way may not be the best way. It's just the way that works for me and it works for us at the schools. We have 125 full-time students now in the building, 75 online. I have 25 in South Africa. I have 2 in Okinawa, Japan, that logs in late and we tape the actual classes. So I would say COVID was a benefit to the school, but unfortunately, you know, online is maybe 35, 40% fall off from my students who are in the building, right? So we're still trying to find ways to, you know, close that gap between those students who fell off during the online catastrophe, because that's what it is. Learning from a computer, as African people, we weren't built for that. I mean, that's just plain and simple. We need the touch, we need the soul. You know, when I say words in the school that, you know, the children from the block can understand, they gravitate to that. Like, what up, little brother? Huru Sasa. You know, we speak African terms, we make it cool. They feel that. That's a different type of energy we're giving off. That energy can't be projected on a computer. We have to just, you know, of course, do what we have to do with the computer now, but we got to be up front, you know. But nonetheless, that grades 1 through 3, if we look at that, first we'll go over the vocabulary, right? So in the creation of the vocabulary words, we use SAT, and next to the SAT words on your left-hand side, next to those words are phonetic breakdowns, right? So, of course, you may find another set of vocabulary words that you like to implement outside of these and how they're broken down, like us, all. That's a long O and or. If you find different ways to break those words down, that's fine. But these work for us. And what I gave J. Scott Learning, I gave words and vocabulary sets that I've done already. So after using them, these were the most effective ways to phonetically break down these words. Tedious, taught, tempos. Matter of fact, these are the words that we gave yesterday for the test. So this is real time. So this is the primary grades, right? So some will have an idea that these words are too difficult. They're not. What I would like for you to do is think of repetition, duration, and frequency. What that is, those are the linchpins for Freedom Home Academy, not just with vocabulary, but for all classes, right? Repetition, duration, frequency. If we had a meeting 3 times a day for an entire week, and I repeated the same thing 3 times, times 5, that's 15 times, you would know it. So these words, tedious, breaking them down, tedious. If we wrote them on a board, if they're on a visual overlay, if we do it continuously, I know the tutorial program is a short period of time, but we can do it at the top of the class, 5 minutes, in the middle, 3 minutes, at the end, another 3. That'll be our 3 times a day. I know we're meeting, I think, twice a week, but those are methods that we can implement into any type of structure. Frequency, duration, repetition. Okay. So those are the words on the 1 through 10 left side. Then we go over to 11 through 20 would be the sight words, right? So for those students who are on a higher level, and those students on a higher level who may say, okay, those 11 through 20, I know those already. Just by them doing the first 1 through 10, those are words that they may not know. So we split them up with advanced words at the same time, simultaneously as the sight words. So we'll catch them if they are advanced, and we'll catch them if they're not. All right? So we did 20 words. I think that was over a 30-week period. So we're talking about 600 vocabulary words. Right? Now, Dr. Edward Fry, he says that if a first grader knows 25 words, a second grader knows, I used to know these numbers by heart. It's been a while since I recited them. 25 words in the first grade. By second grade, they're up to 560. By third grade, 800 and da-da-da-da, right? He said if you stayed on pace with those numbers, the reading levels by 4th and 5th grade will skyrocket. So how do you implement vocabulary? Of course, it's through vocabulary words, but it's reading. So they have to read. They must read in addition to the vocabulary words, right? So what we did was, I had a parent say, Baba Marcus, my son can't read an entire book. I said, why not? It's too hard. I said, okay. So I had to figure out how can I get children to read and have an entire book be of any interest to them, right? Then I saw Dr. Augusta Mann. See, the universe works like this for me. Whenever I put something out there, it comes. I just got to be ready. So I saw Sister Mann. She had two things that she came to school and showed me some things on my floor in my classroom, remember? You cut out pages from a book, taped them on construction paper, and made them foldable, right? It was genius. I loved it and took it. Then she also wrote words on paper boards, right? Saw the idea, took it. I said, cool. Now, Rest of the Earth, that's a book that I read my 3rd year in college. Had to put it down, I couldn't understand it. Read it again 10 years later. Still couldn't get it, right? So in my 40s, I read it again and saw how it encapsulated cultural ideas, politics, and history, right? Great book. All my students read it. It's called Rest of the Earth, written by Frantz Fanon, who was Algerian. He was an Algerian psychiatrist, right? Children loved this book. So my high school students, it was mandatory that they read it, right? So I said, well, hey, how can I get smaller students to read, like my 1st graders, right? Instead of giving them an entire book, we break them down by chapters, paragraphs, sentences. And this is what we did. So my 1st and 2nd graders have expanded. Now this was 4 years ago. My 1st and 2nd graders were able, that's why I look so tattered. My 1st and 2nd graders were able to expand their vocabulary and reading comprehension exponentially by me writing the paragraphs down. And if we do a paragraph a week for an entire year, we'll get a whole chapter for a 1st grader, right? So the red and the blue identifies the vocabulary words that we have to dig deep into. And we number them based on the points of interest. And here's the vocabulary of the book. I just gave you Rest of the Earth as an example. It can be any book that you're interested in. I just used this one in particular because it coincides with our political science course. Good. So how to teach vocabulary. You saw some skills, some methods that I use, but the methodology really is kind of simple. My grandmother taught me how to read. I mean, she wasn't college educated, but she knew how important it was that I learned to read. I was the youngest out of 3. My mother didn't do it, so she said, okay, we're gonna sit down and we're gonna read this book. I didn't know vocabulary words, of course. So the reason why I say that is it's not a complex system. First, it's sounds, it's phonics. Then it's blends. Then it's vocabulary words. Then in the middle, in between those, we teach, like I mentioned earlier on the chart, fluency. And what falls under fluency is how to use a comma, semicolons, where to pause, where to stop, inflections, things of that nature. But there's a methodology for that as well. But again, teaching vocabulary is phonics. You can't get around it. If you're lazy, you just teach a child, you say, okay, what's this word? It's national. Say national. National. What's the next word? That's the lazy teaching method. And that's what they're doing in public school. When the students come to me and they're in the 5th grade and the mother shows me tests, oh, he's an excellent reader. Here's his last spelling test. Here's his reading grades, right? So I'm like, well, okay. What's TION? But I know the word is national, right? So when they see a word that they can't decode, it's a problem. So if you're reading a sentence and you can't decode the words, how are you going to comprehend what the sentence is saying? So comprehension falls on the back of understanding phonetic breakdowns. We have to do that. So phonics, and we all know how important phonics is. We don't got to go over that. But 1 through 30, weeks 1 all the way to 30, that's 10 words, which are advanced SAT. So we went from SAT words. These words are GRE. We got these from the GRE book. So we mixed in with SAT with the GRE as well. And they go all the way up to 3rd grade sight words for the vocabulary primary, right? Any questions with the vocabulary and the structure before we move to the next section? Yes, ma'am.
Is there any point where you do parts of speech to assign the word?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's not in the curriculum, in the language arts section, but in English, we do the parts of speech. Yeah. Matter of fact, now I can't get it, but I just videotaped my English class yesterday. There's a book that I use. It's called The Shirley Method. She's from Indianapolis, I believe.
No, Arkansas.
Arkansas. Okay, that's excellent. I use that. I use that. It's excellent. Right, with the jingles. Right. That English for English. That's what I use. All the way up to the 5th grade, and then the 5th grade we use I forgot the name, but we started testing for SATs in the 5th grade at Freedom. So their first SAT test is 5th grade. So we inculcate SAT material inside of our English curriculum after the 5th grade.
Brother Marcus,
Yes, ma'am.
I just turned to page 17 kind of randomly.
Mm-hmm.
If you were teaching this, can you do a quick demonstration of how you would do page 17?
Page 17 on the vocabulary.
Yeah, it's random.
Okay.
Everybody turn to page 17. Or you could.
Give me a marker. You got a marker? Any expo markers in the building? Sharpies? No? I should have brought mine. Ill prepared, Brother Marcus. Ill prepared. He digging? Okay. You know, markers are my lifeline. I keep markers in my pocket throughout the day. It's ink all on my hands. Oh, that's good. Thanks, brother. I got you. Oh, man. Okay, so if we look on page 17, so day 1, right? Oh, yeah. So day 1, there's 2 ways that I implement first day. First day of school was Tuesday, right? All the students have their vocabulary packet in front of them. I have them turn to vocabulary, just like it's here, right? 2 ways. Either I have the words on a PowerPoint on the screen that they're looking at behind me, or I'm still using these. Honestly, how much time I got? You know, if I had a long weekend, I didn't have time to get to the vocabulary, I would write these out. If I had a little time, I'll put them on a PowerPoint, either one. I think the PowerPoint is more effective because if they're on the screen, I can go to the word as I'm further away from the screen as opposed to being here, and they will have to watch me move it. So I think the PowerPoint is more effective. However, I've been using this for almost, as you saw, almost 10 years. So what we do is, first, if it's written down on the board, on the written board, I'd write it. This is a light one. B-U-T, a space, T-R-E-S-S. I'm writing this on the dry erase board, right? So I have these words in front of me, but next to them, I'm writing them again. But I'm writing them broken down phonetically, right? So they're seeing it twice. When I'm writing on the dry erase board next to it, we're writing B-U-T-T-R-E-S-S. The TR, why I have the TR in parentheses, that's the sound I want to focus on. So when I write it, I may circle it, I may underline it, or whatever. Now, instead of me saying the word is buttress, I'm not. I asked the student, little brother, what's the TR sound? Right? Trr, trr. Good. Was that right, bro? I don't know. He's correct. Trr. What about ESS? Ooh, hands go up. Ooh, ESS is what? S. Good. So, little brother, if this is trr, what's this part? He says tress, right? What's BUT? We all know that. They raising their hand. But, right? Good. Little sis, what's the word? Buttress. Got it. Buttress means what? Ooh, they're reading. To support or hold up. We gone. Next word. W-A-I-F. I'm writing it. The reason why I write it, what I found was the students that watch me write, children are fascinating, man. I had to have another son. I gotta have a girl next. I got 2 boys. But as I watch them, I quickly realized it's so much I don't know. So I got to go back. So I'm writing it. I'm writing the words on the board. And the little brother up front, he's writing it too. His name is Temesky. So I'm like, okay, why is he writing it when I'm writing? I never told him to write the word. I want him to watch me, right? So one day I go and see how he's writing. He's writing the word just like I write it. So typically the students will write the W's like this, right? He's writing his like I write it. So I said, oh, he's mimicking me. I went home and started writing some more stuff. We about to get down now. So here, when I'm writing it, he watches me write it. So now more students are doing it, right? So his spelling test becomes the best spelling test in the class because he's writing it like me. As I write it, he's writing it. So I said, okay, I'm gonna keep writing it because I know it's effective, right? And I say that to say the things that I do isn't just based on what I've read. It's based on the interaction I'm having with the children, right? So when I write the words, again, have it on the board, then I write the words, right? This could be at home, in the classroom, wherever. We're talking about in the classroom, so it'd be good if we have them written down or on a board electronically. You can do the same thing. But to me, the dry erase board, I don't know what I'll do without it. Like, really, I can't function without a dry erase board. Only way I can do it if it's a test. But every day, that dry erase board is like my right hand. I need it because the children need to see what I'm doing. And then when they see what I'm doing, they're able to transcribe it on some paper. So good. So I'm underlining, this word is waif, right? So I'm underlining the AI sound. This is the sound I'm going over with my 4-year-old now. AI is what? It's A. We're in the car. Oba. AI sound is what? A. I'm not even doing words yet. Sounds. AI. What's AY? A. Give me another sound that sounds like E. EE. So we don't get to words later. I want him to get those sounds because I want to inject sounds in him. Whenever he sees that sound, I'm not even concerned with the word. You see that sound, make the sound. Emphasize sounds, right? So AI is A. So little brother, what's the AI sound? A. What's W-A-I? No F though. What's W-A-I? Way. You know another word that's way? Yeah, W-A-Y. Write it down. So I write A-Y. A-Y makes the same sound as what? A-I. Right? So we're emphasizing sounds at the same time as emphasizing the word to. So waif. What does waif mean? Homeless child or animal. Good. Now, this might not be universally agreeable, but I'm not really focusing on definition in the first grade, because teaching definition, it's a lot to do with context. And a first grader really doesn't have a context to teach in-depth definitions. So I brush over it. I don't really start focusing on that till like today in my what I call my Panther group. Those are my 3rd and 4th graders. But we do give it for tests, but I don't really focus on it. Then I go to 3, cacophony. They like that word, cacophony. Look how many sounds are in that word. So we'll write cacophony down. Cacophony, tremendous noise. C-A, C-O, short O, ah, ca, P-H. So, phony. What other sound do you know that's P-H-O? Fine, good, like phonic, good. So that's what we're doing. Vocabulary, written down or electronically, we're going to write those words down. Now, it seems like it's a lot of work. It's not. When I go around and check my instructors don't like this. But I want to see which one's sitting down. I don't sit down in my class. I'm moving around. I got boys from the block. I got 5 and 6 boys from Inglewood in my class. You come in my class, you ask Gary and them, you can hear a pin drop in my school. They respect. So when they sitting down, I got to put my hand on them. Bro, you good? Oh yeah, Bob Marks, I'm cool. So I'm moving around. And what I found was scientifically, my science teacher told me this. He said, you know energy transfers, right? I said, wow, that's heavy. So when I'm moving around, they get that too. They know it's a sense of urgency. I'm moving around. So they're like, oh man, this must be right. So we can transfer that energy. I don't sit down in my class. You know, that's not saying it's bad that you do. I just don't. Okay, good. So that's vocabulary. That's how that is administered. Oh, last thing. The word phrases and sentences. Next to the word, and that's next to my primary words. So when I first said to Dr. Kelly, right? You know, she was kind of like, hold on. These are not sentences about Marcus. These are phrases, right? So I had a reminder a few times. We're going to start with phrases, and then we're going to move up to sentences, right? You know, she let me ride. She's like, okay, all right, we'll see.
They're all sentences.
Even if she had to change them. She's like, it's sentences. But the reason why I do that is when students come to me, when they've graduated from our preschool and they come over to us at Freedom Home Academy, a lot of them, they can't read sentences yet. They don't have sentence awareness. So there's a sentence awareness piece that we have to give them too. So if I gave them a book, a first grade book, they would put the words together. He drove the car to school, right? They put the words together, but they don't have sentence awareness yet. He drove the car to school, right? That is a fluency piece. It comes quickly, but I can't give them a sentence yet because I want them to be fluent. So what I'll do is I'll give them a phrase that's attached to the vocabulary word. If the vocabulary word is drove, I will say, he drove. Read that phrase, brother. He drove. After a while, he gets the awareness. Then he starts to say, he drove to. What else? He drove to school. What else? He drove to school in a red car. So it's, because you got to remember, it's a process. And my students, when I get them and they don't come through our pipeline from the school of literacy, the preschool, it's rough. And we all know it's a challenge just to get them to understand vocabulary and then put the words together for a sentence. But again, I start off with phrases. But all these words that you see here, they are attached to sentences, not phrases. Make that correction. Any questions before we go to African history? Cool. Keep it moving. Okay, the historic journey. So we're going week by week according to the syllabus. If the syllabus says Laetoli footprints in Tanzania, that's what we're doing. So how are we implementing Laetoli footsteps of Tanzania? How are we implementing it in the classroom? All the students have this in front of them. We're going to start with reading a paragraph. So I know a lot of parents were kind of embarrassed. Bob Marcus, why you pull out the smart students and you identify them as smart students? I do it all the time. Okay, let's get our smart students to read. Now they're like, oh, wow, I'm smart, right? So now they all want to raise their hand. Even though they can't read yet, they want to raise their hand. Okay, where are my smart students at? Where are my future doctors in the classroom? Where are my future scientists? Oh, wow, okay. We want to go paragraph by paragraph, right? So what I do is I have the students read day one. I have the students read because the first thing we went over was the vocabulary. Here's the vocabulary. Now, if you don't want to write the vocabulary words that's on the top, if you don't want to write those down, you don't have to. You can have the students write them. Because at the top of the page it has the language arts vocabulary was footprints, erect, impressions, shuffle, ancestor, descendant, and legacy, right? So those are vocabulary words. Again, you don't have to write them. You can have the students write them, right? So that's why the notebooks that they're going to be, that they're going to have is also important. They have to write. And note-taking is an actual class we teach at the school as well, how to teach taking notes. So we're going to start reading. Now, if you don't want the students to read and you want to start your day one off with you reading, you can. A long time ago, about 4 million years ago, human footprints were found in Africa. Little brother, where was footprints found? Oh, let's see. Africa? Yes, sir. How many years ago? About how many? How many? 4 million. After every sentence, we're constructing, reconstructing, sometimes deconstructing. I'm not reading all the way through. If this page takes 4 days with me, it's going to take 4 days. Because when I give it to them, when they walk in my class, little brother, where's, even before he put his book down, little brother, where was Laetoli footprints found? Oh, in Tanzania. Okay, cool. Where's Tanzania? In Africa. Where at? East Coast. What's the capital? Dar es Salaam or Dodoma. Who was the first president? Oh, Dr. Julius Nyerere. Got it. So it's a constant idea of how serious it is coming in my classroom. Oh yeah, Bob Marks, yeah, I went to the game. Nah, we ain't doing that. Where's Tanzania, brother? So it's an atmosphere that's developed in the classroom that's telling the child, this is real deal right here. So again, we're reading, and after every sentence, we're asking questions. These footprints are fossils. Fossils is one of the vocabulary words in science. Third sentence, a fossil is a skeleton, leaf, or other item buried many years ago that has hardened in the ground. Now, if I was to give this, what we just read, to my 4-year-old and his counterparts at School of Literacy, we can do it. All we do is this paragraph, I write on this board, and we'll break every word down until they get it. If it takes a month, we're going to get it. Every word, right? So time is on your side. Again, that paragraph is read, we pull questions. The second day or the second meeting of the class, I would have a student read. Hey, little sis, first sentence. Boom, she's reading. I'm asking the same question. Remember, repetition duration, and frequency. I'm asking the same. Matter of fact, I'll ask the same question. The students already know the question. I already know what you're going to ask about, Marcus. That's cool. All right? And if we can push down to the second paragraph, those students may be more, that group may be a more fluent group. We can push it down to the second paragraph. Okay, little sis, start reading. The footprints were found in Laetoli, Tanzania. Stop. Because sometimes I have students that will keep going. So I'm like, stop. Where's Laetoli? Tanzania. I'll write down Tanzania. Capital. Dar es Salaam and Dodoma. It's 2 capitals in Tanzania. Cool. That's something I would do. You don't have to do that. Good. Next sentence. Student is reading. Tanzania is in Africa. Stop. Little brother in the back. He's yawning. He's sleepy. He's tired. Little brother, where's Tanzania? Africa? Yes, sir. Pay attention, little brother. Next sentence. And we going down. Right? What's the objective? I want all my class to know what this text said. Why am I giving them a text and they can't read it? They don't know what it was. So the objective is clear. Sometimes we lose objectives in the day-to-days, but my objective is clear. I want them to know this. I want a parent to sit in my class and I ask their child 10 questions from this piece. I want that child to be able to answer all 10.
He's got to change the battery.
Okay. Want me to pause or keep going?
Yeah, pause.
Okay. We'll pause for a moment. Okay, so let's turn, they have this section? Doc? Okay, let's turn to, because I forgot to mention the, yep, that tab is in the overview, program overview. Let's turn to that real quick. Program overview. Okay, so our times, the subjects that we listed here in the curriculum, all the subjects are given 15 minutes, right? So the vocabulary we went over before, that first week, all the way down to 30 weeks, that first week is 15 minutes, right? So phonetic breakdown, vocabulary and definition, that vocabulary is 15 minutes, right? So at Freedom Home Academy, I teach, in my particular class, not the other instructors, but my particular class, I teach 4 subjects in an hour. It's moving. Vocabulary first, so I'm always looking at my watch, looking at the clock, 15 minutes is up, boom. Okay, students, let's move on. Let's go to African history. So they flipping through their folders. African history is next. We're reading, going over functionality in the medical area. Medical comes next. Then we're doing physics. So that's our fourth subject. But here, there's 15 minutes for vocabulary. There's 15 minutes for historic journey. There's 15 minutes for the math. And yes, and the African heroes. So we use the African heroes, and we're going to go over that too, but I'm just going to talk about it real quickly. The African heroes is actually reading. So we chose, how many heroes did we choose? 15? 16. So there's 16 African heroes. So that's going to be 1 per 2 weeks, right? So we're going to kind of stretch it out. The students are going to get a nice handle on the African heroes as well as comprehension and fluency with the heroes. So we're going to build comprehension, fluency, reading, and culture inside of those African heroes sections. And we'll spend time with that. So, right, so we got vocabulary 15, reading, math, and the African heroes. So what I would suggest is with the vocabulary, I would try to squeeze another 2 minutes. Let's say, for instance, we go to the African history. So we leave vocabulary, right? That vocabulary, 15 minutes is up. Now we're going to our reading section. What I would do, as we're making the transition to the next subject, I'm hitting them with the vocabulary words real quick. Just real quick. Real quick, that's what I would do. I hit them with the vocabulary words as they're doing transition. Let me turn to it real quick. I'm like that anyway, because I'm always thinking how I can. So as they're making the transition, tedious, taut, tempo, temporal, terse, theocracy, thermal, titanic, taut, toxic. That's it. Cool. We ready? We ready, Bob Marcus? Let's roll in. Let's do, we got to go back. So we're still on the overview. So with the overview, if you turn to that next page, the next page is the school calendar. So you could take a look at that. I'm not going to go over that because I'm going to stay on task. We have what's called the Code of Conduct. So the Code of Conduct is recited, read, and implemented at Freedom Home Academy, School of Literacy. We have a nursery school called African Genius, and in Nkrumah, the high school. All the students read these together at 10 o'clock every day, even the ones online.
Can we do it now?
Yes, ma'am. We affirm. We know that. Yep. Yes. 2, we love that we are African. 3, we respect our African ancestors and will always acknowledge them. 4, we have fun and we are happy as we learn. 5, we love ourselves and we know that we are loved. Right? So then we go down to the Code of Culture. Now, we don't got to read. You want to read that too? Okay, let's do it. The Code of Culture. Number 1, we will work together in the spirit of one loving family. 2, all persons will be considered as loving brothers and sisters responsible for each other's well-being. 3, we will not create bad images of one another. 4, we will not abuse or misuse one another. 5, we will act and dress in a dignified and respectable manner. 6, we will take care of our minds and our bodies. 7, we will strive to be the best and do the best. 8, our education will be a top priority. 9, we will respect and consult with our elders for guidance and advice. 10, we will seek to handle all differences respectfully and privately. That is our Code of Culture. The students read it without the paper. After a while, they need to have the paper in front. We're standing in the auditorium. They're reading it. With me, I have students do scenarios. I would say, Wisdom, Zalik, come up front. Now we got the whole student body in the auditorium. Well, we don't really have an auditorium, but you know, it looks like this. So they'll come up front, and I'll say, I would bump one of them. Bump them hard, right? So what's your response to that, bro? Man, Bob Mars, I'm gonna bump you back. You put your hand on me, right? And I say, what you think, Zalik? Nah, he gotta use discernment. Yeah, you use discernment, right? No, because my father told me if anybody put his hand, this is something I went through in the summer. My father told me, Bob Marcus, if anybody put their hands on me, I'm gonna lay them out. I said, all right, check this out, bro. First off, you have to decide, number one, tell your father I said this to. You have to decide, number one, were you in danger, right? For one, was your life at risk? I'm on the south side of Chicago, 95th and Dorchester. I'm 2 blocks away. I'm in between Woodlawn, Roseland, and Inglewood. So you already know. And I'm from the west side of Detroit, 1987. I survived a crack epidemic. So you already know I done been through it all. And I see these shorties, they've been through more than I have. So he said, no, my father said, woo, woo. I said, nah, we got to use discernment. First off, were you in danger? Did he endanger you? Was your life at risk, right? Because that's what your father meant. No, but he bumped me on purpose, though. Okay, cool. This your brother, right? I guess. Do you want to harm him? I mean, I want to push him back because, you know, he did something to me on purpose, right? Like, nah. Because if we continue to figure out ways that we can hurt and harm each other, how we going to make moves? You need this brother. We are working together. This is a collective, right? This is your brother. Well, Bob Marcus, man, I don't know. Look, when the police pull your father over, grabbed him up, threw him on the hood of his car, what your father do? Nothing. But didn't he just tell you anybody put his hands on you, you have to use discernment, right? You have to figure out, are you in danger at this school? Would I let something happen to you here, brother? No. Do you trust me? No, you need to trust him too. So if we continue to tell our children that these things right here will get you out of any problem that you're having, them brothers going to jail. That's the real deal. Or the cemetery, correct. So having men, conscious men in the building, this is taught to them on a daily basis. We ain't on that, right? My son, I know he watched, he's 4. He hit a girl yesterday in school, right? Yeah, he hit a girl yesterday. So instantly, I'm like, okay. They watching, obviously, because it's my son. So they want to know what I'm going to do. So I took him in the bathroom. I said, what happened? So, you know, he holding his butt. Spank me. I said, no, tell me what happened. Tell me what happened. Because the little girl in there crying, she just said you hit her in her face. What happened? Well, we were playing, and now I walked past the classroom. I saw them face to face. You know, they were laughing, joking around, right? And I just walked past. I didn't think nothing of it. The next thing I know, boom, right? So I say, what I tell you about playing with girls like that? He told me not to. I said, okay, you don't do that. Now, why is she crying right now? You gonna spank me? I might. Depends on your answer. Well, we were wrestling in the classroom. What? Okay, I'll take care of that later. I hit her in her face. I said, okay. When we get home, I gotta take care of you. So he like, okay. Why? His question was, why? At 4, right? Our job as black men is to do what to women? He knows. Protect. right? So if you are not protecting her, why did you put your hands on her? Cool, he's 4, I understand. Went home, told his mother. Did you take care of it? I took care of it, right? But at 4, without knowledge of our tasks and roles, it would be blended in with everything else. We have to be very scientific on how we deal with our boys, especially now. There's a very heightened sense of, I wouldn't even say defense, because he wasn't defending anything. He just felt like, I'm gonna treat her just like I treat the boys. I hit the boy over there, I'm gonna hit the girl too. But we gotta make distinctions at the same time. We have to make distinctions. Even with mine, I gotta do that. But the reason why I bring that up is the code of culture is important, because it says, I think that's number 5. Nope. Yes, all persons will be considered as loving brothers and sisters, responsible for each other's well-being. What is that doing to your well-being? What is that doing to him or her well-being? Are you supporting them being here? Are you supporting their well-being with that gesture you just did, little brother, my son, right? So we got to inject that into them. And this is a good way to do it. You won't have time to do scenarios, obviously, but scenarios are done at Freedom all the time. We have to. And that's the code of culture. Any questions before we move on to that? Oh, restorative circle time. That's good. Did they get that too? Okay. Oh, that's excellent. I like that. I didn't know that was in here. That's good. Okay, good. Let's move on.
Hold on, I'm missing something.
You are?
About the restoring the circle?
Oh, yeah. She didn't get that.
It's in that packet, under the overview.
Yeah, under the overview.
Okay, I'll find it then.
It's stapled. You stapled that too? Okay. It's stapled together. Okay, let's go to the historic journey. That's tab that says historic journey. Grades 1 through 3. Oh, I'm sorry, we did that already. Any questions on that? I can expand a little bit. We can go into the activities if you need, but it's pretty straightforward. Implementation.
I'm sorry, Marcus.
Yes, ma'am. We're on tab that says math problem solving. Math problem solving. So, teaching math. Math is actually my favorite subject because it's non-ambiguous. it's very straightforward. I teach it fast. So we're teaching math with the smaller children. Of course, they're coming through the lower grades, and when I get them by the time they're 5 and 6, they have an understanding of quantity. So I don't teach symbols. I don't teach symbols of numbers until later on. So when teaching math, you don't have to do it at this level because obviously you don't have time. But I use objects, popsicle sticks, blocks, keys, shapes, right? Here's why. The numbers that you see every day, those are symbols. They shouldn't be called numbers because they don't identify quantity, right? So if you see the number 1 written, of course, it's symbolic of this, right? And if you see the number 2, it's symbolic of 2 things, right? Why not teach 2 things, right? So there's 2. We're not even writing yet. That's 2, right? I'm gonna add 1 more, that'll be 3. So they're counting, And my objective is what? If I put, and I do this, if I put 20 dots on the paper, I want to be able to ask the little brother, is that 5? He's instantly say no. A lot of them can't because they're taught symbols first. 1 + 1 = 2, right? They don't know what 2 looks like yet. They just know 1 + 1 is 2. If I do 5 dots on the page, is that 3? He should be able to look at it spatially. He should be able to look at it and say, oh no, that's more than 3, Baba. Right? That's the objective. So by the time these students are in first grade, more than likely, it's high probability that they understand, quantity. So you don't really have to do that. But if it is students, and I always identify the students, we spent 3 hours on assessments on Friday, because Friday was the first week of school. So my director at School of Literacy looked at me like, this is a rough group. And we're seeing it on top of the fact that daycare centers, the majority of them in Chicago, they watch TV and play all day. So by the time they get to kindergarten, those sight words that you just saw, brother, please, they don't know those, right? So by the time we get them, not to mention the fact that daycares were shut down too, so they were mostly at home doing less than what they were doing at the daycares. So by the time we're getting them, they're further behind. I got a couple of 6-year-olds that can't write, right? So now it's the point of deconstructing our curriculum at the school, and we got to scale it back, right? So, but nevertheless, with this, we're starting from first grade, and we're going to work all the way up to third grade. So the objective is, even in the program, my objective is to get first grader to know multiplication tables. That's key. And we understand that we do 5 levels at the school with math. There's 5 levels before you get to multiplication. And we stick to it. First, single digit adding, right? Soon as the students can identify quantity with your son or your daughter at home, there you go. There's 5 blocks, count them. Now add 1, how many is that? That's 6. Add 2, how many is that? That's 8. So we can go single digit adding, we go double digit adding, then we go to subtraction, right? Subtraction, regular, subtraction with renaming, right? After they start renaming and subtraction, we go to the fourth level, which is renaming larger numbers. 2 digits, 3 digits, 4 digits, and 5, right? After that, the hardest thing, or the most challenging thing to teach that group, and it takes like 2 months, is 100 minus 56, or 1001 minus 408, right? How to take that first 0, make the next one a 9, automatically you do the third. So by doing that over and over, they finally get it, right? Once they get that, we off and running. We have a couple of students, long division, fractions in first grade. That's the hump. Once we get over that hump, everything else, smooth sailing. So what we're doing here in the program, that first through third graders, we're doing the same thing. As you can see on that syllabus on page 11, not syllabus, but the lesson plan for that group on page 11, we're starting off with, just what we said, adding and subtraction with word problems. So the same thing is taught with word problems. Same thing. There's vocabulary words inside of word problems that identifies if we're going to add, subtract, divide, or multiply, right? We teach those words just as much as we teach the actual computation. We teach those words for extraction. So if we take a look at that first one on page 13, it says, there are 7 red apples. There are 8 green apples. how many apples are all together? So my first vocabulary word out the gate would be all together. So if I was teaching this to my 4-year-old, I would say, look, all together. Let's look at this word. I'll write it down. Okay. It means bring together, right? So, Oba, bring these two things together. Bring them all together. You do this. Okay, good. So you took this one and that one, brought it together. How many do you see now? 2. So 1 plus 1 is 2. Now, that means all together, 7 and 8. All together would be what? So how am I teaching for my students? How am I teaching adding? Because oftentimes they can't put blocks in front of their paper. So my second form would be number lines. I use the number line. I use the number lines a lot. I'm using it on my son right now. The number lines. We're going up the number line, and that can be written on the paper. On our tables in the school of literacy, there's a number line on their desk, taped down. So, of course, we have objects, we have number lines, but remember, number lines are still symbols. So there still must be a level of quantity understanding using a number line, right? And the third thing, or I should say the third method of teaching adding after the number line, of course, is symbology. 1 plus 1, and memorization. Those flashcards I'm using with my son now. So that takes 3 minutes in the morning. He gets up at 7:30. I come in his room, boom, let's go. We're on 3s now. So I'm showing him the 3 cards. Next week would be 4s. 4 plus 3, 4 plus 5, boom, out of order, boom, boom, boom. I'm telling them first what they are, woo. So I might stop and say 4 plus 3. Show me 4 plus 3 pencils. Count them up. He hasn't remembered them yet, so he got to count them. And that's cool. I don't want to rush him through that process, because if I rush him through and he doesn't have a proper understanding of quantity, yeah, now multiplication is going to be an issue. So, it's stair step. So we have to start off first with the understanding of quantity and then symbols. Yep, so that's the first lesson. And a good way of administering this, we're passing the sheet. Once they have the binder, we're going over each one. We're going over each one together, right? Question 1, 2, 3 together. And they're writing their names on it. Any questions with the math? No. Okay, let's move on. These are the bios. I like these. Number 3, page 3. These are the bios. So remember what we said, we teaching the bios because we can teach culture or African history at the same time with reading and comprehension. So we chose 16, Mary McLeod Bethune, George Washington Carver, Joseph Cinque, Frederick Douglass, Sarah Mapps Douglas, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, Percy Julian, Dr. Huey P. Newton, Dred Scott. Now, that Dred Scott is very interesting. We teach pre-law, so we have a retired circuit court judge, Judge Edna Turkington. She teaches the pre-law program at the school, right? So, circuit court judge, retired. Been a circuit court judge for a little over 20 years. Her grandson is a student, right? She asked me, why you place a lot of emphasis on Dred Scott? The Dred Scott case, Judge Taney, what he said, as the judge on the case, what he said was African people had no business even in courts in the United States because they weren't citizens, right? This is a judge. So that Dred Scott case held precedent for the next 75, 80 years, right? So That Dred Scott case is very important. I mean, she knew that. She just didn't understand the correlation. But these bios are read 2 weeks. So Mary McLeod Bethune will take 2 weeks to read those and answer questions. So at the end of that second week, we should have at least, I think in the summer my percentage was like 72, which is low. I like to get in the 90s. So if I have a class of 18, I want at least 15. I put that sheet in front of them and they read it in class. No mistakes, and they can answer questions. My percentage was low this summer, and that's obviously due to COVID and all that, but we can do that. So day one, what are we doing? Same thing we do with African history. We have the students, either you can read the paragraph sentence by sentence, or you can get a student. I would suggest the first day we read, or the first day you read and ask questions. So Mary McLeod Bethune was born in 1875 in South Carolina. Little brother, where was Mary McLeod Bethune born? South Carolina. Good. What part of America is that in? North or South? Oh, that's in the South. Okay, great. What year was she born? 1875. Great. Next sentence. She became a teacher in Chicago and performed humanitarian efforts such as visiting prisoners in jail, serving the homeless, and counseling residents in the Chicago slums. Little sis, name one thing Mary McLeod Bethune did when she went to Chicago. Of course, most of them have to look at it, and that's fine. Day one, they're looking at it. She visited prisoners in jail. Okay, good. Next, little brother, what's the second thing she did? Oh, she served the homeless. Good. Next, what's the third thing? She counseled residents in the Chicago slums. Slums may be a word that they're not familiar with. You know what a slum is? Nope. We tell them. In 1904, she founded the Daytona Educational and Industrial Institute for Negro Girls with 6 students, still moving today. The school is still open now. In 1904. We did some remarkable things. I was telling my students the other day. After Reconstruction, Reconstruction was a pivotal point in our history. Lynchings went up. I asked the students in the summer, why weren't African people lynched during slavery? Oh, I also tell my students, Africans were never slaves. Off the top, we were never slaves. We were kidnapped Africans. Thomas Jefferson said that some of the Africans that came in, they were so good with welding, right? Welding, because the Senegalese and the West Africans were mining. They were mining even before they were slaves. That's how they became blacksmiths. So during the Reconstruction, Europeans were upset because black people were getting all the jobs. Like how did they have all these skills and they were kidnapped Africans? Because they took the skills from home. So when we make the connection with our seeds, right? When we teach African history, we have to make connections. We have to show them how they're connected with them. Outside of the science that says we have something called ancestral DNA. Outside of that, that's scientific. We tell them, when you see your brothers and your cousins pouring out liquor in the street, what does that mean? Oh, when somebody died, we pour out liquor because, we show them how much we love them. That's a libation, bro. We was doing that on a continent. That's libations. We was doing it on a continent, right? But I told a little brother, he's from Inglewood, right? Named Temeskin. He was like, Bob Marcus, so look, you ever see Training Day? I said, yeah, I saw Training Day. He was like, yeah, you remind me of Denzel Washington, right? I was like, cool, that's cool. But what's up? He said, I'm gonna take this mic down. He said, when Denzel rolled into the projects, right? He made them birds move. They was making them birds move. I say, look, that's African, bro. Our ancestors was doing that when we left the Igbo used to clap. The Igbo used to clap, and when they clapped, the birds would come up. When the birds came up, that told the other Africans on the plantation who was around. Clapping birds was us. The Igbo, West Africa, and Nigeria, that was us. So I showed a video to them, right? They flipping out. These my oldest. They flipping out. Hold on. Clapping birds is African? Yeah. See, if that's a connection. So now we got them. We got them now. So every day, front seat now. So about Marcus, what about? We got them. So once we can find, and when I interview parents, I ask, give me some info on the child. Let me know what's happening with them, right? Sometimes I don't get everything, but I want to be able to reach them. How can I reach them? Either he hoop, 9 times out of 10 they hoop. And hooping is only based on access, because if it was golf courses on every corner, we'd be playing golf too. So it's only about access, that's all. So I reach him. Matter of fact, I got a little brother, Nasir Rankin. He's ranked 6th in the country hooping. You can look him up, Nasir Rankin, he's ranked. So he hooping. So his father say, I'm gonna bring 5 more students on his AAU team to the school because I like what you're doing. I was like, cool, but I told him he wanted to get out this pre-med class on Thursday. But Marcus, can I get out of it? It's too hard. No, sir. Matter of fact, not only that, now you gotta take the microbiology class on top of that now. Because, you know, we get pushed through because, you know, we athletes, whatever. I play high school, I play college ball too because I know how that works. But anyway, that's a whole different subject. But, right, so making the connection. George Washington Carver is week 2. We already know what he did. We want the students to know what he did too. He was more than just a botanist. He was a scientist, and he used things around him. He used to talk to plants. He communicated with plants. Like what? Children like, what you mean he communicated with plants? You know, so we can make correlations between what the heroes did then to what they did now. Dr. Daniel Hale Williams, I had a student came to class. He was like, "Ooh, new guy." He was like, "Bob Marcus, I know him. We went to his hospital." I was like, "Yeah, his hospital right there on 53rd and Cottage Grove. It's called Providence Hospital, still standing today. Now it's Cook County Hospital now." Yep, so that's it. Any questions on the heroes? Got one of my favorites in here. Of course, Malcolm, Dr. Huey P. Love that book. Yep. And that's it for the primary. Then we go into the older groups, the grades 4 through 6. So that vocabulary. So what we do is with that older group, and we just finished first week. First week of school is always the most challenging week. It was rough. It's always rough. Always. Getting the schedules together because our schedules are customized. So the groups are customized. So our 1st and 2nd graders, that's our Mali group. So they're not based on age, they're based on the ability. So we assess every week. So students have opportunity to move up to 2nd and 3rd grade in 1 year. If you meet that criteria, you can move up. So some of the parents like, does that really work? Well, we just graduated our last 6 students at 16 years old. We had one with an MIT scholarship, full ride. One going up the street to Bradley. So when I explained to you, when I first got up here, I said we have to overcompensate because a lot of people look at us like, oh, that's just, you know, your little school, you know. I got 2 on my shoulders. So I'm like, yeah, I could put my 4th graders in any high school program in Chicago. Walter Payton, Whitney Young, I've seen them. I've seen their curriculum. I've seen how they develop. I get the students. I know what it is. So that's cool. I just take what they have, look at it. I make it better. Pre-med, taught by a doctor. There's a nurse down the street. She has her own nursing school on 87th Street. She comes to the school and gives CNAs to our 11th and 12th graders. My son was the first one to go through her program. So I don't mind that. I'm clear, you know. The best or so-called better public schools give you a quick story real quick. 60 seconds. My son's first year at Howard, they have a freshman group, they're meeting. It's like 17 of them, right? They're talking about how a large percentage of them ain't coming back for the winter semester. It's too hard, too much work. They're talking specifically about English instructor, right? Now my son was calling me. He was like, yo, I got this report that's due, and she wants us to do a report every week, right? I was like, that's cool. So he wasn't saying anything in the group. So all these were Walter Payton, Gwendolyn Brooks, Whitney Young students, right? Like 17 of them. He wasn't saying that. He's quiet anyway. So they asked him, man, why you ain't saying nothing? He was like, man, I was doing this in the 6th grade. 6th grade, he was doing the college reports. He told me, I almost brought tears to my eyes. Right? I think I only cried like 3 times in my life. And all of them was based on some deaths that I had. But when he told me, he said, now I understand. I understand now. All that work you was laying out. All them times where I couldn't go play ball because I had to do my work. Now I get it. So you good, off and running. Told my son's mom the same thing. Does he really have to do this right now? Gotta do it. Either you dedicate yourself to this work or you dedicate yourself to failure. 4 through 6 vocabulary list. For the older groups, as you see, there is 10 sentences attached, but all 20 are GRE words and SAT. That's page 3. That's week 1. Now, you may think that, well, not you because you're educators, but a lot of people think that it's easier to teach an older student vocabulary words than a younger student. It's not. It takes more time for me to teach 4 through 6, that 4 through 6 group, than it would be for the younger group. And you know how it works. Come to class, sitting down, man, about Marcus, you should know what I did, man, the weekend, So off the top, man, sit up, man. Straighten your shirt up, tie your shoe. So it's more of that involved in this group. Yep, so those are the medical suffixes. Okay, so why? What's the significance of teaching medical suffixes, right? So some would think because of the phonetic breakdown, and that's true. But the second reason is to motivate the students. So I have my students come in with medical jackets when they do their medical program. I don't know if you've seen the video, they wear medical coats. They wear scrubs on Friday when they do their labs. In order to get out of my group, you have to be able to dissect, I think it's 6 this quarter. So we have 6 dissections this quarter. We have to know how to suture, and we know how to draw blood in the phlebotomy class, right? That's just to move to the next level. But it's to motivate.
Now, how's that going to work with us? Because we've got the medical words in there.
Yeah.
And in the spring, we're going to move toward whatever you tell us to do.
Perfect. So what that would do is that would give them a foundation. Those vocabulary words will give you a foundation. For instance, let's take a look at a couple of them real quick. Cytokinesis. What that is that's 4 phonetic breakdowns for one word with the definition. So would telophase be, metaphase, and so on. Those are biology words. Right? They're learning these in the first, these words right here, they're learning in the first microbiology class that they did yesterday. What's the day, Saturday? Yeah, yesterday, yeah. But right, that'll give them a foundation. So what I propose and what we discussed for the next go round would be putting the phlebotomy arm in classrooms, right? Because I have one in my class, and we discussed this, and I think it'll be a great idea after this preparatory period, getting them acclimated to medical terms and the definitions, right? So we have first and second graders who can draw blood. So I got an insurance policy like in August, right? So they had to come give me some blood work, right? So instead of them coming to my house, I told them to come to the school. So I videotaped, put it on YouTube. So the sister walks in, she's like, what's going on? I said, do you mind, drawing my blood while my students watch? They got their lab jackets on, right? And she's a licensed phlebotomist that, draws blood for the insurance company, right? So I'm sitting down, she's doing it. She's a younger sister too. So she's like, it's about 20 students in my class. All of them like 7, 8, 9, right? And she's drawing the blood, and I'm asking questions. Okay, what vein is she using? Basilic. Cool. Right, so she's like, what the hell? What is going on? So another little sister, her name is Nia. Her name's Nia Curry. She gets up, goes to the fake phlebotomy arm, right? And she starts to draw blood the correct way through the same procedure we've been teaching, right? So the lady meets me after she took my blood and all that. She meets me. She was like, "Are you accepting students?" I said, "Yeah, that's cool. That's cool, but I didn't do that for that reason. We don't market. I don't do ads. Most of the students that come to the school, they came through word of mouth. I would rather that. I don't like when you come off the street because you coming in thinking like it's a regular school. I would rather for someone tell you about what we did as opposed to you oh, this is a school, let's pop in. Because 9 times out of 10, it's not gonna work for you. And it doesn't work for everyone. We have a very high turnover. Like I said, we started 75 new students on Tuesday, right? By January, that 75 will probably be like 50. And by June, that'll probably be like another 30, right? Because the workload. But I'm telling you something, when those 30 keep passing through, tell you, I had my first graduate, Nate, full ride to Bradley. He told me from day one. He said, Bob Marks, I heard about you. I don't care what nobody think about me. I'm gonna be a doctor. The first thing he said out of his mouth. His mother's watching. Felicia Dawson. He's the real deal too. Okay, good. So let's go to the history part for what's that? Upper grades 4 through 6, historic journey. I like the historical journey. I like the historic journey for one reason. It's comprehensive. It's very comprehensive. When the students get it, it's a lot of information packed into 1 or 2 pages, and the activities are thorough. And of course, the activities are enrichments. It just adds on, to our philosophy. What is that? Frequency, duration, and repetition. So with that group, I'm definitely giving a vocabulary. Like, that vocabulary is first. So that's first day. Let's go to vocabulary first day. Nomadic, civilizations, and artifact, pharaohs, culture, land formations, Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, the equator, the Mediterranean Sea, the Suez Canal, the Red Sea, Indian Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, Sahara Desert, the Nile River, largest river in Africa. Yes, ma'am. Oh, I'm sorry, that's page 5 and 6. Oh, you know what? You can't see that page, but you can assume it's page 5 because it's after the standards page. That tab is called the historic journey 4 through 6. Okay, great. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, she got it. Yes, ma'am. I'm on 6. So that's what we're doing on day 1, the vocabulary. And like we said before, the reason why we touched on vocabulary is because it's going to be a challenge for them to comprehend what they're reading if they don't know what the words mean. So I like how the historic journey has extracted those important vocabulary words from the top. Okay? So I'm having students read now. I'm not reading this piece. not for 4th through 6th group. I'm having them read, but I'm always keeping in mind, I'm going to pick and choose a reader who's going to have difficulties. So I got my marker ready. Okay, so go ahead, little brother. Go on and get it started. Scient. That's cool. Let's look at it. Boom. SCIENTISTS. Let's break it down. Now, it's going to be some children in the classroom, happens every year. Oh, why dude can't read? Right? I make a distinction off the top. Hey, little brother, come here. No, Bob Marcus, no, come here, man. Come here. Check this out. Read this. Oh. Sung. So class, same brother that was laughing at this bro can't read this word. You see what's happening? Yeah. Come on, sit down, man. So I'm telling the class, look, you're in school to learn. This little brother right here who's top of the class, bro, were you always top of the class? No. How long it take you? Man, 3 years. And they'll tell you. This is advanced information. I don't expect a 2nd and 3rd year old to come out the gate sometime, but I don't expect them to come out the gate and break it out. The only time that's done is when they come from being homeschooled. When I get them from public school, 99.9 times they cannot follow in my group. They just can't. But we don't like make fun of them. Like, what? Bro, you're going to be straight. Come on, man. Let's work it. Scientists agree what? So now he's feeling better now. He's better. But the confidence comes from how I respond to the class. Because if I allow that nonsense to perpetuate, I'm going to lose him for the rest of the semester. So we're going to get him to read. It might take a while. So we have to know how to mix it up. Be scientific on how we call out people. Find out which students are sharp. Find out which ones not. Little brother, I want you to sit right here. Brother right here, he's sharp. He come in, got his folder ready. He ready. Mom already instructed him. Look, if you he come in ready though. I'm like, okay, I'm checking out the class. All right. You know, he playing around, laughing, joking. Hey man, sit next to him. I want you to go scientific. Leaderships are on the edges. I put all my leaders on the edge, right? So when I turn my back, I know what leadership doing. If I'm writing, I turn back, leadership looking at this dude. He like cool. All right. Hey man, come here. Write this word on the board. It has to be constant. If it's not constant, you're going to lose them. And as they leaving the class, I'm monitoring. What's the facial expressions like? Some of them leaving the class yesterday. Leaving my class like, come here, sis. What you think? How was the first week? Oh, it was all right. What you didn't like about it? It's a lot of work. Okay, cool. Like what? You know, that pre-med, she gonna have us do da-da-da. Okay, cool. This is what I want you to do. Every Friday, come to me with your work. I'm gonna help you. No, I don't need no help. I don't need no help. You sure? Okay, cool. Go on. If they knew that the person teaching them is not just doing it for a check, and they actually cared about them, they come a little closer. All of them don't come close to me. They keep their distance, which is cool. But when I constantly show them, you know, you can do this, right? You can do this. So we have to be scientific on how we deal with, especially the boys. The girls are a little different. The girls want to please. The girls are always like, can I sharpen pencils, Bob Mars? Can I pick up this? Can I do this? Yeah. It's the boys that I have trouble with, you know. But for this group, individualized reading will work. But first, the vocabulary has to be implemented. So, any questions with that? Implementation. Oh, and the activities. So I think we put on the syllabus that the activity is given on the second meeting, not the first. So for that group that's meeting, what's that, Wednesday and Thursday or Tuesday and Wednesday? Okay, good. So that Monday, Tuesday group, the activity should be given on Tuesday, not Monday. Because we want to have time to go over the material before we give them the activity. So if we do it for that Monday, Tuesday group, Monday we're going to read. I'm calling our little brother, little sis. We're going to read. Boom. Now, what is very important in that group to me is writing, taking the notes. Because I want to be able to give them a quiz. Well, you won't, but I'm just saying. You won't want time to do that. But I want to be able to give them a quiz the first week, not with this, but their notes. You're going to be quizzed. You can use the notes, right? Because that's going to show them that, oh, if we don't have a quiz that's on our notes, I want to make sure my notes tight. So I'm going to tighten up my notes, right? And then I'm showing them how to take notes. But I know you, with respect for time, you won't have that ability, at your disposal. However, we still can have them write, though. Even though it's vocabulary words that's been extracted already, let's write those. And some of them can, while little brother is reading the first paragraph, we can still have the children write. They can write, even to the point where they're using their fingers. A lot of students are using their fingers. We have to, obviously evolve out of that, but I'll accept that, using the fingers. And then gradually we'll leave that. But there's a methodology with reading, of course, understanding syntax, understanding when to change your pitch. We can teach all of that in the African history section. Any questions on that? These are some very comprehensive lessons, too. I've used all these, too.
Marcus, let me ask a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Because we don't have the kids all day. We have them for 2 hours.
Yep.
And 15 minutes.
Yep.
15, then switch. 15, then switch. 15, then switch.
Mm-hmm.
What's your
And lunch.
And so what's your recommendation with us moving this material that way?
So.
You got all day. You got.
Yeah, I know.
But you still do 15, 15, 15, 15, right?
I do. It's a 15x4 method. So first, everything has to be in front of them, and it will be, right? That first week, maybe the Monday and Tuesday group, that first day on Monday, we need to have time to explain to them the fluidity. How are we going to be moving? The first thing we're going to do, class, every day, every Monday and Tuesday, the first thing we're going to do is have our material out, and I want you to, when before class starts, I want you to have the vocabulary tab out. I want you to have the vocabulary tab out with the week. Right now it's week 1. So when I see you tomorrow, you will have week 1 vocabulary out in front of you, right? So if we show them the structure on how we're going to do it for those 2 days, the 15 minutes will be more than enough time. Matter of fact, I don't even spend 15 minutes on my vocabulary time. We're looking at between 9 and 10 minutes. But, I sprinkle mine with, jokes and laughing at students, Just warming them up because it's 9 o'clock. So, Russell, you brushed your teeth this morning? Yes, Bob Mark, that type of thing. I got some shea butter right here. Who needs some shea? That type of thing. Loosen them up a little bit, and then we get started. So 9 to 10 minutes for vocabulary. Phonics, breaking the words down, and the definitions, and recitation. And then if you want to keep a clock, I use my watch. I left my watch a couple of times. I couldn't function because time is very important. But yeah.
from the standpoint of your own personality, dealing with students. You throw slang in there,
Yeah.
like let's roll. That
Yeah.
means ready to go.
Yeah.
Does that play an important role in identifying with the students?
It does, but I don't think, you know, the identification can be met without it. You know what I'm saying? One of my English teacher in high school, she just passed on Monday. I saw it in our group, Miss Ellis, right? Miss Ellis was my English teacher. What I teach in English right now, I learned in the 10th grade from Miss Ellis. Like that, that's how effective she was. But she was very, she was royal. She moved around the classroom, right? She enunciated every word, right? So the way she moved, now this was Detroit Northwestern in the 80s, right? One of the most violent high schools in the city of Detroit, right? You could hear a pin drop in her class. So the way I do it fits me. The way she did it works as well. So my personality, you know, it's attractive. It has a lot to do with, you know, obviously how I was brought up and how I can identify with students though, but yeah, it can be done without it, you know. Props to Miss Ellis. Matter of fact, our school had seven instructors died from lung cancer. I think in like a 10, 11 year period. And they were saying that it was asbestos in the building. Man, a lot of the instructors died, bro. I think she was the last one. Like I say, she passed on Tuesday. But, right, so going over that week, first week, the first 2 days, those first few minutes should be how we're going to map out and what I expect when you come to the group, what I expect. I need the vocabulary opened up first. We always start with vocabulary. I write it on the board. Like all week, I've been writing instructions for my class on the board. Okay, students, this is what we're going to do. When you come in, vocabulary is first. Then our students like, then medical. Right. Medical's next. Then I do African history third, and then we do physics last. But having them right on the board, just so they know, as soon as they come in, I don't want to hear papers folding. Only time I want to hear papers folding is when we transition to the next subject. So when we come in, that should be in front of you. And then as a transition, after the last vocabulary word is read and you're ready to move. Okay, class. African history, historic journey, they know. Go right to it. Week 1, or in this case, Laetoli, footsteps, boom, they're there. Let's start reading. That transition is 30 seconds, if that, boom. 30 seconds, we're starting to read. The primary, like I said, the primary, you're going to read. No, the primary, you have the students read, you follow up. Older students, you have the older students read, but you have your marker ready. All the words they have problems with, you got to write them down. I know it may take some time, but we can mix it up. Find out those students who can read. So little brother who can't, had a problem with the word scientist, we can have him do the first sentence and then have another reader, you know, follow behind him who's the stronger reader. We can mix it up because you want to include that weak reader just for confidence. We want to get his confidence up. And a lot of students you don't call on, they ain't know the word either. They didn't know what science, the word science. But they were just, you just didn't call on. Okay, what's next? Yep, math problem solving. Let's go to math problem solving tab. Page 1. The objective. The objective for this group, to get them ready for pre-algebra. And we can do it. Get them ready for pre-algebra. How are we going to start? So day 1. This is the math literacy skills too. So when we say math literacy skills, of course, we mean word problems, how to write, and how to read. So we started off with grade 4. So some of those students that's in the 6th grade, oh, but Mario, this is too easy. Oh yeah? All right, come on up here real quick. We shut that down immediately. So question 1. So what I would do, I would start each student, first student with a question. Little brother up front, read number 1, question 1. The price of a watch is $60.75. Andy paid with $100. How much change did Andy get? Okay, change. What do you think change is, bro? Stand up, man. Stand up. I'll reach in his pocket. Man, you don't have no money, man. You not working, something to loosen him up. Then he says, oh, change is if I gave you money and it was too much. And whatever you give me back is change. Yeah, so what did you do? I subtracted. Good. So we're going to subtract 100 from $63.75. You want to do it or you want me to write it on the board? Oh, I do it. Write it on the board. Where would 100 go? At the bottom. What? At the top. Okay, 100 minus 63.75. Now, those were the problems that I told you earlier were the last stage of that math before multiplication. And this is 4th grade, right? So we do that. We'll do that at the school in the 1st grade. So by the time they get here, they already know how to set the problem up. And it's going to be some students that may think 100 goes at the bottom. So we have to do those problems. And the thing about math that you can do, the thing about math that you can't do with reading, you can do math on the dry erase board. And if you don't have a dry erase board, and I think most of you do, but math has to be seen in its development. You have to show math in its development. We can teach reading what sounds without writing it because he has it in front of him. But we must develop that system, writing it and seeing it. Remember, repetition, duration, frequency. What do we do when this happens? What do we do when this happens, right? So we should be able to write those problems down. And again, we don't have to write each problem. As long as we know how to extract what this change means, we can write that first problem down, 100 minus 63.75, and we break that down.
Now, we got these math off of the internet, and notice the dollar signs at the end, Singapore math system.
Yeah.
And we were able to download those at no cost and put them in a packet. So the kids need to learn how to write it.
Right. About to say that. Right. So we definitely need to, explain to them the dollar sign goes in front of the numbers, not at the end. But nevertheless, that's minor. Once we start breaking it down, the system on how we're going to do, and decimals are important, especially with money. We all know that, and the children will realize it too. Right. So we may choose. I don't know. You got 15 minutes. We may choose 3 students. Okay, once we break that question down mathematically, we'll go to question number 2. Come on, little sis, you up front. Read question number 2. 3 hamburgers cost $7.50 altogether. What is the price of 1 hamburger? Okay, good. So altogether, what does altogether mean? Okay, we explain that. She may know it. So I asked, are we going to subtract or add? Okay, let's write the problem down. Remember, seeing it through development. I may have her come up, probably with respect for time, you probably won't have that, but when they see me bringing students up to the board, you don't see the students, looking around no more. They don't want to be embarrassed, so they got the eye on me now. They like, oh, okay, let me see what he's saying. Because he might call me next, right? So remember, leadership in the edges, That's what I do. Leadership on the edges. Yep. So that'll be the last 15 minutes with next page. Yep, got the answers here. Oh, me as well. I see the answers are there. I don't know if the students will have access to the actual answers. Yep. So when the students move up, like I just taught Algebra 2, I teach Algebra 2 now, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So we're doing linear equations. So little brother, he knew. He was like, I was like, man, what you saying? No, I was just saying the answer's in the book. The answers, you gave us an answer. I was like, right. You ain't got to whisper that. I give you the answers. I want you to know the answers now, because when you go back, when you're working, I want you to be able to look at the answer. Okay, cool. That's how I got the correct answer. But on Fridays, you won't have the answers, bro. So, I mean, that ain't no secret. They looking at him like he crazy. But he like, you got the answers here. So give him the answer. I don't have a problem with that. And in addition, this may sound strange, but I'm not concerned with the answers being correct, especially in math. It is a process. I want them to show. First, read the question. Even a mathematical equation, we're doing linear, so we have two equations right there, right? We're studying the substitution method and the addition method, right? I want them to be able to see both of those equations and be able to tell me which, am I going to use the addition method or the substitution method, right? It's going to take time, though. A lot of these students never even had Algebra 1 yet. But I want them to understand the process. First, we need to look at what was given. Secondly, I need to put the problem with the correct steps. Third, do the process. Then fourth, the correct answer. I won't start focusing on that until like October. I need for them to get the process. And it's going to take a lot of work. But it'll pay off, though. Because my son, Agubin, he taught it over the summer, but obviously gone. So I'm asking him, so how was so-and-so in the class? Nah, you got to do this to this with him because he da-da-da. I said, okay. So I was prepared for that group. This is the largest high school group we have. I think it's like 17. Usually we have like 3 or 4. It's 17 now, obviously due to, you know, the COVID and whatever. So parents are very distraught. And now they get to see the lack of development because they have access to their work. So they're like, oh, we're going to take them about Marcus. Well, you could bring them on over, but we starting off Algebra 2. She said, Algebra 2? He ain't had Algebra yet. See, the thing about math is, you know, it's stair-stepped, right? So we could teach Algebra 2. I could teach pre-calculus right now to a student who just had division. That's like I was telling Dr. Kelly, she asked me, you know, physics. Why would you teach? Well, she didn't ask why, but I was explaining to her the reason why I teach physics in the 1st grade. Physics is only reading the problem, understanding the process to solve it. If you know how to multiply and divide, you can do any physics problem in any physics book. Multiplication, division. So as soon as them 2nd graders can divide, matter of fact, you ain't got to know how to do long division. You can do single division and do Newton's first 3 laws of physics. We can do that. Force equals mass times acceleration. So when you do a sentence, now you're extracting. Okay, what's the mass? Mass is weight. Oh, 5 kgs. Good. What is acceleration? Oh, 4 meters per second. Okay. Force equals mass times that. What you get? Oh, wow, it's 20. That's physics, right? So once we get out of the position that things are too hard, we can roll. Okay, good. What else? What else we got?
We got about 5 minutes.
5 minutes. I'm on schedule then, huh? That's different for me, ain't it, Gary?
The literature.
Hey, man, I ain't say you. African American Lit. Let's go to it. African Lit excerpts. Got Maya Angelou at the top. The great Maya. Okay, so how are we going to implement this to 4th through 6th graders? So again, first off, I'm reading about the author, the bio. We're going to read that. So we're going to have the students read. Again, marker is ready. What I would do, I would take the first day, and this is 2 weeks, right? Yes, 2 weeks. So that's 4 sessions. Monday, Tuesday, and Monday, Tuesday. So what I would do, my first session for the first 15 minutes, I would do just reading her bio. Right? Have the students read, your markers ready, write down any words. This is an older book, but the information is still, this is the book that I use, so I like it. So that's the first day. The first day you're reading the bio. When we come back on Tuesday, the next day, we're going to do page 32 in class. I'll choose one. Using what we know, literary focus, the setting, and the setting a purpose. So now we're going to start reading. Now, I know homework is going to be an issue. Almost not at all. Right, no homework, right. So we're reading, and we're going to start that whole process with reading the same way we started the African history piece. We're going to have the students read, your marker's going to be ready, and we're going to extract information out every 2 or 3 sentences. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. When I was 3 and Bailey was 4, we had arrived in the musty little town wearing tags on our wrists which instructed to whom it may concern that we were Marguerite and Bailey Johnson Jr. from Long Beach, California, en route to Stamps, Arkansas, care of Miss Annie Henderson. I can see like 9 questions right now I can ask, a minimum, right? So it'd be good we could just ask one, all right?
So what, they're going to be reading like an excerpt of what's here because they won't get through the whole thing.
Right.
They can kind of talk about that.
Right. So you won't be able to read the entire passage. So you would be reading 1, 2, what you think? About four paragraphs in 4 sessions. 4 sessions, around 4 paragraphs, maybe. But at least we'll be able to expose the children to our literary giants, right? And that may get parents to go get the book, right? So if we're thinking of it on those lines, like I say, if we can do 15 minutes, 4 sessions, that's an hour. Hour in 2 weeks. We'll do a paragraph, maybe 2 paragraphs per session, because you only have 15 minutes. Right? And after that, we got Maya. Then we're doing, we got some heavy hitters on this list. We got some heavy hitters. Langston Hughes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Any questions?
How are we going to close out our session?
What you got?
Back to the code of conduct.
Code. There we go. That's how I do mine. Code of culture. We close out. Let's go right to it. Code of culture. That's going to be in the is that overview? The overview. Yep. We affirm. We know that we all come from African heritage. 2, we love that we are African. 3, we respect all African ancestors and will always acknowledge them. Matter of fact, I got a 3-year-old who can recite these without looking, and she loves it. We have fun and are happy as we learn. We love ourselves and we know that we are loved. Code of culture. Number 1, we will work together in the spirit of one loving family. 2, all persons will be considered as loving brothers and sisters responsible for each other's well-being. Number 3, we will not create bad images of one another. 4, we will not abuse or misuse one another. 5, we will act and dress in a dignified and respectful manner. Number 6, we will take care of our minds and our bodies. Number 7, we will strive to be the best and do the best. Number 8, our education will be a top priority. Number 9, we will respect and consult with our elders for guidance and advice. And number 10, we will seek to handle all differences respectfully and privately. Yes. I like it. So any questions overall? Great.
Sounds as if every kid will have this same binder.
Yes.
For the grade level.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Every child will have one, a binder.
His or her grade designated binder. Now, I'm wondering, you know, we read that through that math and everything.
Thank you.
Give a big hand.
I got your cake too.
We got a private joke here about a cake for my birthday, but,
Got a lavalier you up.
okay.
Pocket. You got a pocket.
That was outstanding. And it gave us a lot to think about because our young people, come back up here, our young people really are going to be challenged with this curriculum, but we can rise to the challenge also. We can do it. We have Suzanne, who's getting ready to do a presentation on the policy and manual book. Anything you want to say as a closing before you?
No, I'm just excited. I'm excited about what's in store for the children. I would love to see some point-to-point developments, you know, maybe a couple videos or something. But I'm excited because this is well put together. The people that put it together are serious, which is important, and they took a lot of time in the development of this program. So I'm proud of it. I just would like to see some developments. That's it.
So, as we said in the spring, what's going to happen, we're adding this medical piece, so we wanted to get the pace going with what we have here. And I'm looking at that math, all that time, we never noticed the dollar sign was at the back.
Right.
We were reading through it, but we never noticed it.
That's all right.
It's okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
So this is a teaching opportunity that is, you know, that it was developed in another country, and that will force the children to write it down the right way. Is everybody hearing me with the math? The children must write the problems down the correct way. And dollar sign in the front. And have them to point out, you know, and so that they know that the dollar sign should be in the front. Also, I'm going to add this. When I was teaching, we always had the kids to write the answer in numerical form and in sentence form. Always. Always. And they didn't groan about it because it was an expectation. So they wrote it out numerically and in sentence form. All right.
All right.
You did good.
Thank you.
You did real good.
Thank you.
You did real good.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. And so we'll have the charts and we'll have chart paper for you. We'll have the whiteboards for you when you get ready to start. And every child will have notebooks. We've moved it back. It's going to be the end of September.
Dr. Kelly?
Yes. Okay,
Will we also have manipulatives like?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Will we also have manipulatives like if we need like blocks for the math?
We have not talked about that, but it's when the team meets, we'll talk about that. Okay, the other thing, I was going to say, come on, Suzanne, because we don't want to keep you here all day. Okay. You are amazing.
Thank you.
I'm coming to
It
visit.
took me a long time.
I'm coming to visit.
Come on up.
Okay.
Come on up. I'll make you some cake.
Do you have a financial piece in your curriculum?
I do. We have
Financial literacy?
yes, we do. We have
I'm staying near you for the lava
okay. Yeah. Say that again. What's the last part?
So our kids won't grow up going to pay their loans.
Right. So we have a business law class. So
Okay.
at the end of the business law class, we had 2 of our students. They brought property in Gary, right? So the final project, and they presented the project to the parents at our expo. So the final project was to acquire some property, and they bought something along with their parents. So we want to give them, like we mentioned earlier, it's three-pronged, you know, not university, we have to do entrepreneurship, as well as understand contracts and law too, how to build LLCs, the creation of insurance, things of that nature. So yeah, yes ma'am, we do that.
Okay, don't leave yet because we got the historical journey document that we're going to give you at the end. I mean, the whole binder.
Oh, they giving
But
them?
if you leave, you don't get it.
Yeah.
Make sure I get one.
Because we just have lessons extracted from it, but the reason why we're giving it to you is to help build your background. So when you're talking about the lessons with the students, you are able to add more information the way that Marcus brought in more information. So it's not, it's a tool for you to gain knowledge also. Okay, Suzanne, because we want to get you out of here by 12:30.
Not only is it a
Do we need to mic up Suzanne?
Okay, guys, listen, the policies and procedures manual you have in your possession. It gives you information on J. Scott Learning and Development, which is the corporation that you work for. And so we've given you the information so that you will have a bit more information on us. We've been around since 1995. We incorporated in 1995. And what you have in front of you is the latest in terms of what we do. So I am not going to bore you guys with it. It's really self-explanatory. And I will say it's much smaller than that version we did, I promise. So just read it at your leisure. There are forms in the back that you may have to use from time to time, and it's like student release forms. The privacy information's in there, so just pay attention to that as well. But everything else is very, very self-explanatory. And I'm done, unless you guys have some questions. But I did want to say that every single one of you sitting in this room within the sound of my voice heard that man over there say he's bringing that cake. Okay, all of you all heard that. So now he's kind of obligated to do that. You guys are going to receive a link for the marvelous information that you got from the master teacher over here. So you will receive a link as soon as I can get home and send it out to you. You can refer back to it, play it at your leisure. And you will have it from now and until. So if you all don't have any questions, I'm done. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
When will we know which grade we're going to teach so we know how to prepare?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, but I'm going to say something first before I answer that one. If you are tutoring at 43, we were told yesterday that the target date is the 27th because it's a transportation issue. She had to request these buses, and you guys know because you worked, you know, when they're getting those buses, it's like a 2-3 week turnaround. And so the target date is the 27th because we've got to have, you know, some transportation for the children. If you work for 42, I know that their pit day is the 22nd, I think, of September. So we'll probably know more about that. I'm sorry, I don't have a lot of information on that. But this is what I will say. when the time comes, you will be ready to roll because you will have gotten your criminal history background checks. They're coming in and most of them are complete, and you will have completed this training. So when you get the call, just be ready to go to 42. 43 is here. The tentative date is September the 27th. I don't know what 42's is. I don't have any information on them. Well, yeah, you do, because you will have applied. Those of you who applied for 43, the window closed because when we got enough tutors for 43, the next recruitment was for 42. And so, and there are two groups of you. One of you is 42 and the other is 43. But I can answer your questions on that later. And as far as the grade level, with what he has shown you guys, we're not going to assign you according to grade level. We're going to assign you based on where the need is in terms of some of you are working 2 days a week, some of you are working 4 days a week. And so those are staffing patterns. And I will take a look at that, and that's how that will be determined in terms of where you will be teaching. Okay. Any other questions?
We have capacity to do 200 kids at each school. Now, we're at the mercy of the school in terms of how we get those kids and how soon we get them. So just be a little patient with us. We intend for everybody here to work. We don't know how that's going to break down and how soon it's going to break down, because again, we're at the mercy of the school getting the kids signed up. We don't have the ability to do that. We can't get the parent names and kids' names and call. So Pitt night's going to be a big night for sign up. We hope to get a big number that night, and then hopefully the same thing happens at 42. I think at the same night, but they call it something different. So hopefully those 2 nights are going to get things kicked off. We thought we'd have more numbers now, but you know how it is when you send forms home with the babies. The form may get there. When you send the form back, it may not get back. So, so it's a little process. But just bear with us. We intend to have as many kids as we can get signed up. We have the capacity to do 400. That's what we put in. We have the resources to do 400. It's strictly up to the schools to load us up and load you all up at the same time. I'm sorry.
I didn't have a question. First, I wanted to say, his brother Klein, and again.
Yeah. Thanks, Lord. I got to say,
But with respect to the kids, I know there are teachers in here from School 42 and teachers from School 43. You all are mountains, to be honest with you. To those other teachers that whom we work with, as well as to your administration. It should not be hard to get to. And I'm not saying that you're saying that,
but see, a lot of our teachers are retired.
No, I'm talking about, but there are some teachers.
Okay, right.
But I'm just saying that if we had that opportunity, spread the word. We have kids out there who need this right here. And I've been inspired, to be honest with you, with how well this curriculum is put together. And while he does it on a full-time basis, we have opportunity for a shorter time period, but we can make a major impact. We got kids out there, like you said, who can't read and ultimately end up in prison. We have something. We have something to do. So let's spread the word.
Although we spend most of our time on the teachers, I want to let you mentors know that we cannot make this work without you all. You all are part of this team. You're the supporting arm of that teacher. If there's a problem in the classroom, we need you all to be able to go in, calm that student down, try to get that student to participate the best you can. If you got to sit there with the student for a while, if you got to take the student out, calm that student down, bring that student back. We don't expect anybody to snatch a student or discipline a student. You can't do that, okay? So that's why the talk-down process has got to be so important. And then that still allows the teacher to continue. So you got the mentors with you. We got one mentor per 2 classes, so they should be enough to support. Most of us will be there also around to see the lead teacher in the school will be there to support. So hopefully, collectively, we'll have enough impact. With 8 students is the max that we're going to get to
So you will have 8 students in the class with the help of the mentors, the lead teacher, and possibly us around. So this should be, and the package that you have there, which is, I mean, in my opinion, I think everybody's opinion, that's going to be an easy sale, an easy move for you. Thank you.
Now, we have
A
another,
hand up.
okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so can you clarify please the role of the lead teacher versus the tutor? Because I thought the tutors have to be certified teachers, so is there like a partnership going with the lead teachers and the tutors with the children?
The lead teacher, and there will be 2 lead teachers, one at 42 and one at 43. They're more of an administrative type. That teacher will not be tutoring. Okay, that teacher's more like a building. Yes. So yes, the lead teacher, the lead teacher will be in the building, and the lead teacher will make sure that you guys, you know, are having. You have everything that you need and everything's going the way it's supposed to be in your classes. And they're going to be the liaison between you and the principals in this building. So no, the lead teacher does not tutor. Okay. Well, if someone gets sick, something during a tutoring session, he or she may have to step in and handle that. And that would be the only case, or we may do a split list, and you may end up with 9 students instead of 1. And I know we're trying to wrap everything up, but yeah, that's the difference between the lead teacher and the tutor. Okay. That and anything else you may need them to assist you with, they are there to assist the tutors. And they can assist you if they need to remove a student to have to redirect that student. The object is to get them back in that tutoring session. And so as you are tutoring, then one student may have to be removed for a minute, you know, and then redirected and immediately getting back into that session. So yeah, you won't be in there alone. There are a lot of support systems in place for all of you. Okay.
Now I want to be clear, the mentor will not be in the classroom with you all the time. You'll be sharing mentors, so the mentor will be roaming in terms of going around. But there'll be 6 mentors at each school. Again, that's 2 per classroom in terms of how we got it divided. Because we got one cohort Monday and Tuesday, another cohort Wednesday, Thursday. And what we had envisioned was that we would have 100 kids Monday and Tuesday, and 100 kids Wednesday, Thursday. Be the same 100 on Monday and Tuesday, a different 100 on Wednesday, Thursday. And we'd be sharing the mentors during that time. And that's why we've given people options of either doing all 4 days or doing 2 days.
Okay.
And that works both ways with the teacher and with the mentor.
Okay, we've got a question back here.
The copies for the students, for like the stories or whatever, do we copy those or are those going to be?
She wants to know this. Okay, can you speak a little louder?
The copies for the students, like when they're reading the story, do we copy? No. Do we make copies or?
The students will have a binder.
Yeah.
Oh, the students will have everything and they can write in
Yes.
there?
They won't have both sets. The students will, like the 4th through 6th grade will have a 4th through 6th grade binder. We put everything in your binder so that you would have the whole set.
Thank you.
Yeah, but you don't have to copy anything.
And do they take that home or do they leave?
No, it
that?
stays at the school.
And we collect that?
Yes, and we're trying to think of the best safety precautions. What are you all doing in the school with the materials? That would be a question that I've been asking people. Can someone tell me how best to keep everything COVID safe with the materials? We're going to be storing them. Mrs. Johnson has a room where we can store materials and move them back and forth. Can someone tell me, really, I can't hear.
I was going to say, I generally disinfect the materials in my own classroom. I have Lysol spray. That's what I do to disinfect the materials, and then I make sure they only have bare materials. So, however Mrs. Johnson's going to have a store meal, I would say spray those materials before and after each use. Maybe that could be part of our system for people to think COVID safe.
Or we can use, what about the wipes? Say that again, huh?
We do have wipes, so we can make sure, we can get students even involved with that, and make sure they are wiping down their area before and after we get started with each session. And then we can just make that part of the expectation system that we use.
Okay. Anyone want to add anything about the safety and protocol?
Identification as we enter the building?
No, those are not the kind that IPS issues. So these will not get you in anywhere. Just, no, I'm kidding a little bit. But no, when you're in your buildings, they'll know who you are. Okay, and then there's another procedure involving that, but I will email you guys on that.
You have to have this when you come.
Yeah.
All right.
But you got to sign in when you come into the building. Their protocol is to sign in, we'll have a sign in sheet. But you have to know, they have to know who's in their building, so you have to sign in.
Now, we had planned to start earlier, so we had training dates set up for October the 3rd also, that you were going to have about 3 weeks to teach, and then we're going to come back and we're going to bring Brother Marcus back. But I think we're going to have to adjust that now after you've been working with the students, and we'll have to get on his busy calendar and get the date set up for it. How many of you think it would be worthwhile to come back for another training? Hands high so we can see. Okay. Okay, so you got to find another date for us, Brother Marcus. Okay. Okay. All right, well, everyone stand as we get ready to close. Any other questions?
You know, you have Mrs. Crowder's number, so, and or text, whatever, so we're available to ask and help anywhere we can.
You guys are going out there with a whole lot of stuff. And you got time to work through it and to email any of us if you have questions. I want you to think about the student you had that that gave you the most joy in thinking about him. I can think of a young lady right now that I taught at School 67, and she was brilliant. And I saw her at the mall with her daughter a few years ago, and it just gave me such pleasure to tell her daughter what a wonderful student she had been when I had her. So I want you to think about, her name was Kimberly Smith, I'm going to call her name. I want you to call out the name of the child that gave you the most joy and pleasure in teaching because they did so well. Call it out right now. If you got more than 1 or 2 or 3, call out their names right now of the ones that. It's Kimberly, and it was Joseph and another Joseph. All right. Now call out the name of the child that gave you the most heartache, the most problem. The one that you wanted to reach, and maybe you did, and maybe you didn't. We're here for both of those sets of children. Those that you know you're really proud of, because we can help them do better too, and the ones that we still think about, even though they're gone out of our eyesight. So as you go, think about those children, and let's get ready to meet those that remind you of those children in the weeks and the year to come. Thank you.